Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Banin, and none other than James Browning. How are you today, James?
I'm fine, thanks, Mark. I've just travelled down from sunny Newcastle.
Sunny? Is it sunny there?
Ooh, it was gorgeous.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I've heard that it's not very sunny there very often.
We've actually had a spell of amazing weather there.
Have you? Okay, we'll let you off on this one then. You never know with James, he's always bluffing.
No,
He's always bluffing.
no.
Let me tell you about what we've got in the show for you this evening. So, let me introduce, first of all, my name's Mark Banin, this is James Browning, and we've got a game of poker for you tonight. Now, the game of poker is called Texas Hold'em, and like the name suggests, it is a game that came from the Wild West. Now, in Texas Hold'em, everyone gets 2 hidden hole cards. As well as that, there are 5 community cards, which everyone can use. You take all 7 cards, make the best 5-card poker hand, and it's the winner. It's the betting that determines who are the winners and who are the losers. Now, Texas Hold'em is a variation of poker, and there are many different forms of poker you could be playing, but that's the one we're going to actually be focusing on tonight. Now, we have got a live show for you tonight. I'm live, James is live. However, the poker is actually delayed by 5 minutes, and that's to stop the players turning on their TVs and deciding that they can see each other's hole cards and making plays accordingly. So that's to stop the cheating, basically. Now, as well as being a live show, it is a interactive show, and by that I mean that you can get in contact with myself or James, where we'll read your questions live on air, and there are a couple of ways you can do that. The first way is by texting the word poker to 84222. There it is. So all you need to do is put your question in after that, put your name in at the bottom, and myself or James will read it live on air. As well as that, you can actually send your questions in by email, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. So I'd like to hear from you, so keep those running in. Doesn't matter how easy or how simple the questions are, or how difficult for that matter. If they're difficult, I just pass them on to James, and James deals with it. Nice and easy that way, isn't it, James?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But no king-queen questions, okay? We don't like king-queen questions on this show. All right. Anyway, without further ado, do you want to take us around the tables, James?
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure, Mark. Here we have a $5 sit and go. It's the long structure. I start with 2,000 chips, and the blinds are going up every 12 hands. And that's the 10-20 stage. Twice as much. Again, long structure. See the 2,000 chips spread around there. Again, first level. And here's our cash game, 25 cents, 50 cents. Maximum buy-in $50. And it's MTT, and this is a $10 rebuy tournament. Also, the players have the option to have an add-on, and I believe the rebuy's gone through an hour. And there's 73 runners in that one.
Yeah,
so
okay.
We'll be revisiting that throughout the night.
Yeah, and of course we'll end up on the final table there to see how the final 9, is it 9? That's 8, isn't it, on there?
8,
so
yes.
the final 8 actually play out. So you know how to get in contact with the show. Don't forget to give myself and James a look up. In the meantime, we're going to head over to a cash game and see how these boys are playing out.
And here's our cash game. And we've just arrived to see Sir McTavish betting $1 with top pair. Poor kicker, but had position. Opponent didn't like the flop, so I'm sure he felt pretty confident. Baskerville, 4-7.
Nothing doing there, and little connector here. He's limped in. Decides to have a little look. Now, this is a little bit harder to give... the analysis actually gets better, doesn't it, James, as we see more of the cash games. We get a bit more of a feel for the players.
Yes, the style of play, and that's, of course, what the players themselves should be doing, is basically working out the different players' styles and what their different size bets mean, and what sort of hands does someone limp in with, etc., etc.
Because, of course, someone betting, if 2 different players make the same bet of 2, it can mean 2 different things, can't it?
Yeah, that's a good point. It can mean a completely different thing.
How long does it take you, when you're sitting at a table, James, you're playing online, how long would you say it takes you to get to know, have a decent feel for the players at the table?
Well, as I've said before, when I'm at a table, first of all, the first thing I'm looking at is to see what the rate of exchange is. Basically, you know, what price is the popular price for the raise at this table? And so that's what I'm looking
You're
at.
getting a feel for the betting patterns and
Exactly.
also what you need to do to make certain plays.
That's right, and now I can adapt according to that.
Very important, isn't it? I think I just want to reiterate what James is saying here, because that's a very important point. And what he's saying is that he's going to have a look to see whether certain people fold to certain bets. So, for example, if this guy, for example, MPQM, he's raising with 2. James has just joined the table. He's going to see what the big blind is likely to do here in this situation. Now he's thinking, OK, well, he's calling, so he doesn't like giving up his big blind, or is it that he's actually got a good hand? So some people will play their big blind respectively, and some people give it to the smallest of bets, won't they?
That's right. So it's very important, if you're not in the hand, to really watch this hand to the death at the table. Now you mightn't see the end. Of course, on Poker Night Live we see everything, so you really get a fantastic read on everyone. But in the live game, you only see it if there's obviously a showdown. So here you should be really keen. If it's going to be seen, you're waiting to just pick up the information. And then you can say, oh, well, it means nothing. He called the big blind because he had a pair, so we know what he calls with. So bit by bit, we start creating our sort of window of hands for people in different situations. So now, this will give you a good idea of what your chance of actually stealing some money from a pot is. Because you say, he will only call me with this sort of hand to that sort of hand. What's the chance of that? Maybe only 15%.
And also you can now put in an idea of what the bet has to be in order, if you wanted to bluff him off a hand, and you now might say, OK, well, I know 10 won't get him off this hand, 15 might get him off the hand, but do I really want to put 15 on a chance?
Yes,
and
that's right.
You weigh up the risk-reward ratio.
Yeah. And in fact, it might be that you see the table, oh, this is very handy because a bet of 10 is good enough. So you don't have to risk more money.
Yeah.
Say they take this as meaning the same as 20 at another table. It's good that you know it, because it'd be a shame to be... It's like going into a shop and paying twice the price for a can of beans when you don't have to.
So that's a good point, isn't it? It's about sitting down and quickly as possible, establishing what is the right price for the moves that you want to make.
For all the actions.
Absolutely.
What raise do they accept as being a sort of a strong raise? Is it 3 times a big blind, or 4 times, or 10 times, or whatever?
Absolutely.
And sometimes if you go to a low-level game, you really need to keep on pushing to get the level of the blind up, because they say, well, they don't take any notice to 3 times, they just think it's a joke. 5, 10, sometimes you'll see some of the top Swedes there on these low levels might be pushing big bets in pre-flop.
Yeah, look at this, James. We've got an interesting situation for Snap
5 players for a start.
Who's got trips against top pair for Sod. And he really wants to put some money into this pot now, Snap It, doesn't he?
So he hasn't got top pair anymore because he doesn't have the ace, he's got the queen.
Yeah, and Snap It probably missed an opportunity. Maybe, I mean, he was drawing. There was no one on a real particularly good draw there, but he's fortunate.
But he doesn't know that.
No, someone could have a spade, 2 spades in their hand,
what's the best,
straightening cards.
So what's the best time for the trips to bet?
When they're on the draw, of course. Make
so
them pay
even
for their
on
draw.
The flop, you can bet on the flop and say, I hope someone's got the flush draw.
Yeah.
What a lovely time. You've got the flush draw drawing against you with the trips. So therefore, he's got 2 less outs to make his flush, because you're going to be housing up. So he's only going to have 7 outs instead of 9. And even if he makes his flush, it's still possible you could make your house, because you're only about 2 to 1 against to make your house from having trips on the flop anyway.
So a lot of players, a lot of beginning players, James, aren't sure. They flopped a big hand, they flopped a set of 5s or queens or whatever it happens to be, and they're not sure whether they should bet out on the flop or they should check it or check raise. What is the situation where that changes?
Well, what I do is I look to see, is there a reason that someone might wish to continue playing in this hand? Looks like a bit of a straight draw. Looks like a bit of a flush draw. I can see lots of possibilities. I don't know what they've got, but I can see lots of possibilities. They might have a mystery hand, 1 pair, a hidden pair which I don't know about. Plenty of reason for me to bet here. Now, if you bet and no one wishes to call, the chances are you weren't going to get business anyway, even if you checked. You weren't going to get business the next round even. It's nowhere likely to be happening if they didn't like it at all. It's more likely that they'd have just never paid you off.
Well, this is interesting. Look, we've got 2 pair against... well, it wasn't a very nice 2 pair, mind you, because he had all sorts of horrible things going there.
There's a flush there for...
Yeah, and you Would tighten.
You will tighten.
Yeah, so going back to what you're saying, it was...
So therefore, and sometimes by checking with your trips, the guy might be waiting there with a middle pin straight draw. Now this is a horrific thing. You've let him draw for free by checking your trips to a middle pin straight, which is going to jump ahead of your trips. What a blunder this is. This is a nightmare.
You've got to watch out, haven't you? You've
Yeah.
got to ascertain all the texture of the flop.
Yeah, that's right. So sometimes people basically slow play the wrong situations, is what we're saying.
Right.
And in fact, there's more times it's probably correct to bet than to slow play.
Especially online, isn't it?
Yes.
Where people are more inclined to call you.
Yeah, to say, oh, he's at it or whatever. Yeah, let them think it.
Well, it would have been interesting had he had 7-9 instead of a 4-9 in his hand, but unfortunately, it's not very good. So, and he's got no takers anyway. He's actually leading with his 9. Of course, MP was hoping for an 8 to pop along. That made him a
And actually, he's
straight
probably quite relieved to see that 7 because at least he's got 9s and 7s with an 8. So it cancelled any kicker problem he might have had.
Absolutely, yeah, that worked out quite nicely, didn't it?
So he probably felt, in a way, sort of relieved. Right, we've had a raise 4 times from Deadman.
Is that a good bet, James?
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. He's under the gun, and I think that's fair enough. He's got a big pair, and he's almost big pair. And he says, right, okay,
What should he do here, James? He should bet, shouldn't he? About 4?
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, that'd be a great bet. Yeah, 350, fine. Very nice.
Yeah, they can't call him, can they? So,
And there's the example. If you play too tricky with that, the guy has a free draw to go and hit a king.
absolutely.
It's a wonderful.
But the problem is, it's not even a king, is it? It could hit someone, even if he hasn't got the queen or ace, an ace or queen now you don't know what to do anymore.
Exactly.
And the problem happens is that what happens now is that the ace comes, you're now scared, you check it, the other guy checks it, he now hits his king, you've given him 2 free draws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he represents he's got it and you maybe have to put it down.
Yeah, even worse. Even worse still. So, big blind for Morrison. He's saying, please raise, please raise. Well, he's probably going to get a little bet here from Snap It. No, he just decides to call. That's what you'd like to do, isn't it, James, with what Snap It's done?
And
he's got good position as well. He's about to find out from Morrison, no.
And now I'd be putting it down. And so to Snap It. Well done, Ken. You haven't let me down. You followed the KQ rule perfectly. Saved yourself cash.
Morrison doing pretty well so far by the looks of it. He's the table captain, so to speak. He's the one that got... Of course, we're looking at a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. And in this particular cash game, you can only put in, well, I say only, you can put in a maximum of $50 at the table or a minimum of $5. Now, most players usually put down the maximum. Not all, but some. And Morrison, in this case, is up to 125, so he's more than... he's got 2.5 times his winnings, James. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Doing very well.
His starting stack, rather. So, yeah, pretty good indeed. But look at this. We've got a straight against a straight draw. And...
Yep, it's McTavish who's got the straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, the Sixes is wondering if he's actually got an ace or a 5 or a busted draw of some kind. But, you know, he isn't a big blind. He could be holding any of that rubbish that's there, couldn't he, James?
That's true. And we must never forget about that. Always remember, it's too easy to overlook how did people get in the pot. And we mustn't overlook when they got in there just because of one of the blinds, because of course they could have any 2 cards. If there was no raise. And a lot of people make up small blinds with any 2 cards as well, so you can't even, it doesn't give you any real guideline on just because they've made up the small blind with a lot of players. Certain players it will do, and of course that's another thing. You say, but Joe across there, he wouldn't make his small blind up with 7-2. He would only make it up with any suited connectors or this or pairs or etc. You have this window of hands for each player, basically. But
possible trouble here, James, for dead man. Little bet there, only a very small bet. What do you do with your ace jack here, James? What's the right thing? Is that the right thing?
I think
it is.
I think it is. I'm not keen on it. I prefer. I could raise. If the thing is, if Titan hadn't raised, I'd be raising with my ace jack. But once he's raised, I'm passing.
Yeah.
Because why should I be guessing?
I'd be more tempted to call with a hand like 8-9 than I would with ace jack in that situation.
I agree with you, because you're in a different territory.
Yeah. You're not going to hit much with ace jack. What are you going to hit? The top pair.
But I don't mind raising with it. I don't mind me being the aggressor, because people with even with ace queen might be wary against me. Or, it's possible. So because they're not going to be so keen calling the raise against me with their ace queen, but I've raised with ace jack. So I don't mind raising with it, but calling with it I find I don't like calling with it.
Well, this is interesting. We've got...
if it's very cheap, though, if it was ace jack suited and I'm in late position...
Oh, nasty call, James. He's made a nasty call, MP, and he's hit his second pair.
He has 9 on the river.
Yeah, it's not even a 9 of spades, which wasn't going to help him.
Let's see what he bets.
He's got to fancy it, hasn't he? He's got to
bets
fancy
10
it.
into 9.25 and well put down.
Why? Yeah, well, he bet so much, gosh. Trying to make it look like a steal, perhaps.
I think that was it, wasn't it? He was trying to say...
But it's not that strong a hand, James, is it? Where you want to make it look like a steal, it's not so powerful, especially with a hand like that. He could have easily had 10 jack in his hand. It's the sort of hand that...
He could have done. He did raise pre-flop, so I think he's presuming he didn't have that because he raised pre-flop, maybe. Maybe he knows how he plays it or what sort of hands he raises with.
Oh, look at here, James. We've got another big hand against each other. Ace-king against aces. Oh!
And that's about trouble.
That's trouble now, isn't it? Unless another king appears or a... in fact, there's no other draws apart from the king.
Nine, he just called there, didn't he? So...
Yeah, he done well not to lose more when that last king came, but... shouldn't have really called on the flop, should he? Once he's missed with his ace-king, he's got no other draws apart from the 2 over cards, that's it.
Yeah, and the problem is when you're now just calling to draw, someone else might match one of your cards and already have a pair. They could have some really obscure hand.
He's got your favourite hand again, James. But this time he's come out betting with it. Now, that means he's got a betting lead, which MP can't really call if he does put a continuation bet of around 4.50. He can't really call this. Well, he's made a little bit on the weak side, so it depends whether MP feels that is a weak bet or a milking bet.
It's tough for MP.
He can't really call. He's got absolutely nothing, hasn't he?
No.
Yeah. So a dead man put a weak continuation bet, and it worked on this occasion, but I think had MP had any kind of draw...
The main point of its strength of his hand there was he did have position, wasn't it? So he had position on MP, and that...
and the betting lead, of course.
Yes, and the betting lead, so it went in his favour. And he used it, so that was good.
Jack 10 suited. Limp in, hoping to see a cheap flop with that hand. It's quite a nice hand. And the only problem is he's bang in the middle of these two players, which is the worst place to be in. Well, both checked. Will MP decide to play the king? No, he hasn't. Now, UW, who's now seen that they both checked, and I like the bet by UW. He thinks, well, you would have bet a king against 2 players, so I'm only really up against a possible 7. Have you got a 7? No. So...
you read it well.
Yeah, done well. Well done, UW.
Aces again.
I know, this time for Baskerville, it's reversed. McTavish had it last time, didn't he? And this time...
And just limped. Well, we'll see what happens. It doesn't look like anyone's going to be raising here.
No.
Is he going to make it up? He probably will make it up, yep.
Yeah, that's a fair hand to make it up with.
So he's against 3 opponents.
Yeah. I think here, James, is the thing to look at this table, one thing I've noticed straight away is that it's not been a particularly aggressive table pre-flop, has it?
No, it hasn't.
We haven't seen a lot of raising going on, so... That is okay to limp in if you've got a good chance that someone's going to come in behind you with a raise, but...
He's got a nice hand here because he's got the pair of aces. He's also got the ace of clubs in his hand, so it's less likely that someone has the flush draw, because more times than not people like to have the ace flush draw. And he owns the ace, and again, he's right to bet it. There's no point mucking around.
No,
You have to find
I
out.
agree.
There's 3 opponents. You have to find out where he is.
Yeah, you can't. You've limped in, you've tried slow playing it, it didn't work. You've got to say, OK, let's give up this ghost. Well, we haven't seen many big hands, really. We've seen aces a couple of times, but we haven't seen sort of big hand against big hand, really, have we?
Not particularly big pots, you're right. Dead man, ace-8 in the small blind.
So tell me, James, I'm interested. When you first started playing poker and you played your first cash game online, what was the level you entered into? And how long had you been playing at that point?
Oh, the first game online? The first game online I played... Actually, I played 2-4 no limit, funny enough.
Oh, did you? Straight in there?
Yeah.
Had you been playing a lot of poker up to that point?
Yeah.
Live?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
I
OK.
played
So
lots.
you were pretty established in the game?
Yeah, I
Okay.
played a lot of... I played a lot bigger games live. I played a lot of poker before then, but I went... Actually, I did go straight in on the...
On the 2-4 game?
2-4.
Yeah. Now, this is not 2 cents, 4 cents, is it, we're talking
No,
about?
it was. It was $2, $4. So, and that was at that time. I was really actually certainly in the north of England. I was one of the first ones to go online because people came up to me and said, "Oh, do you think it's crooked? Do you think it's straight? I wouldn't go on there. I'd never go on there, etc." Of course, the people who said they'd never go on there, they're all on there now. And I was like the litmus test for it. And I was playing on this. I said, well, all I can tell you is, I said, I'm playing on it and I'm winning. And I said, I can tell you what, I'm winning, I don't mind. And I said, and then how are you doing now? I said, well, that's exactly how much I've played. And blah, blah. So I said, to me, it must be fine. I said, if they're cheating, they're not cheating too well.
Yeah, they're not doing a very good job
of
it. Yeah.
So, and I played it, quite a bit there. But I was in the northeast, basically, really the first one out there playing on the internet.
Oh, very interesting. Well, if you've got a question for either myself or James, or you'd like to have a particular conundrum sorted out, all you need to do is contact the show, and there's a couple of ways you can do that. The first way is by text the word poker to 84222. Type your question in. Type your name at the bottom, and myself or James will read it out live on air. Or alternatively, you can actually email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. All you need to do, same really, put the name in at the bottom and myself or James will read it out live on air and answer all of your questions. So in the meantime, it's time we head over to a little tournament, I think. So, what is it, $20, James?
I believe it is.
Let's head over there.
Right, we've just actually...
Now, this is a long haul one, James, isn't it?
It is a long haul one, but it's hard to believe because we've actually lost a player in the first hand. And look who's gobbled him up, it's Johan.
Gosh. OK.
So,
I'm going to see if we can get that one, James.
yeah, that'd be interesting to see what happened there.
So here we've got some of our regular players, James, haven't we? One or two I don't recognise, but I recognise our seat 3, IRLD. Crispo, I think I've seen.
Yes,
sure.
Crispo, Shaky Shark, the
Johan.
double top, thick head. I think they're all pretty regular players.
Yeah, absolutely. So Johan's done well with some kind of semblance of a hand. Be interesting to see what that hand was. We'll try and get that for you. In the meantime, this tournament is a little different to what we were watching a moment ago. Before, we were watching a cash game, and the bind for the cash game was between $5 and $50, your choice. You can go as you please, come and go as you please in the cash game. However, in this tournament, it is a sit-and-go tournament, which means that once all 8 seats on this particular table are filled, is off we go. Each player pays in $20. They get 2,000 chips for their efforts, and we start off with the blinds at 10-20, which means that each player is forced to put in a blind of 10, a blind of 20, once each round, and subsequently they play until there's only one man standing who gets first prize. And with $20, first prize will mean $80. Second prize will mean, I believe it's $48, and third will be $32. So, well, I think we've got it, James.
Oh, good.
So we'll just wait till this hand.
First, there's Earl, who's made it 80.
See another go out here.
Ace queen. Oh, look at this. You put the kiss of death on it. Look, it's a re-raise from double top with ace jack suited.
Oh, and an ace has to come, doesn't it?
And he's got the flush draw, though.
Yeah, it's curtains, isn't it? We're going to see a lot of money change hands here.
150. What's Earl think? Ah, there it is. It's a re-raise to 450.
And Ild will want to close this down in case he's on some kind of draw, but he's a bit worried about the Jack-Queen possibly. Now that's probably a little bit more what he's
worried about. You could also worry about Ace-10.
Yeah.
But
or Ace-King, of course.
Yes.
Oh.
And his
Double.
worries are gone, I think. Unless someone's got a Jack.
Which he has. Gosh, this is a nasty, nasty hand, isn't it? He's hit the straight. And if you're wondering what's going on, he's made a straight. I didn't even spot it straight away. 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen. There it is. We can see it there.
Amazing, eh?
The Queen was not what Irold wanted to see. He thought he did,
yeah.
but when you inspect it a little more closely, you can see there's a little gap in there. It looks a little bit muddled up there, but it's 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen. Makes double top the winner. He was actually hoping to get clubs, wasn't he? Not expecting to win that way, was he? So, running cards. Let's have a look at that hand, James.
Oh, this is the first one. This is Big Shan against Johan.
Now, what do you like to do in these tournaments? Is that a right thing to do in these tournaments with Ace-King? Early position like that?
Early stages, I like to keep the pot small.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Oh, look, even Thickhead is interested. Well, it's a shame, isn't it? I don't know why he's done that.
Now, just a call from Big Shan and just a call from Johan. Interesting.
And that's probably not a bad flop for Thickhead, really.
So he's bet 80 into, it's a small bet, isn't it, into that size pot. 440 pot, he's bet 80 into it.
Mm.
And it's a raise here from Big Shan to 320, and he's, I think Ed's gone from that. He's actually listened to the answer.
Yeah,
what was Big Shan getting involved for here? Why did?
No idea, James.
What a horrible call. A horrible raise.
Yeah. He's basically saying, I think you've got Ace, Queen, Ace, Jack, isn't he? Or something like pair of fours or something, that I can knock you off it. That's really what he's saying.
Here we go, 540. Re-raise. No, you... Oh, this is just a shocking call.
Yeah. Big
Shan, what was all that about?
Yeah.
Wow, that is disappointing, Big Shan.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
good.
just don't fall in. Just,
well, look here, James, you've got another big hand developing.
Oh my goodness, so it's a full house for Isaac. 3 2s and 2 3s.
Johan thinks he's winning here, doesn't he, with the A7? And he decided, OK, I'll give it up. You've maybe got a 3, maybe got another pair. Who knows what you've got on that big blind.
Yeah, with these Ace-Kings, for goodness sake, that was just an example from Big Shan of really overplaying. And overplaying in the early stages. Listen, if it was the latter stage of the tournament, you were trying a move or come over the top or whatever, no problems from me. You know, good luck you tried it. But early stages here, there's no need for this. Because you're more likely to be against players who are playing with something. Because if they're playing good, solid poker, they want to have a hand.
It's happened again, James. Look, up and down straight draw for, plus the flush draw for Isaac Kowich against the made straight. I mean, he hasn't got any chips, so it doesn't make much difference, but I'm surprised he hasn't just put it in, that's right. And he's obviously going to call. And he wins it.
Lose.
Yeah. Oh, what a funny sort of hands we're getting now.
Yeah.
I opened my big mouth about hand against hand, and they're all coming.
There it is. Straight.
He's still got a long way to go, though, James, hasn't he? He's only got 120.
Yep. It's a big mountain to climb.
So you're watching a $20 tournament. This one just kicked off a few hands earlier. We've already lost one in the first hand, in fact. And still a long way to go. So this is a long haul one. This is a 2,000 chip, 12 hand rounds before the blinds go up. And of course, blinds go up, like I said, every 12 hands. Next time they go up will probably just be in the next couple of hands, I think. I think we're not that far away. Maybe 2 or 3 hands away.
And the jacks again. Against 2 big cards. It fared well last time.
Yeah, it's not going to fare too well this time, though. Not unless he sees another jack appear. He's only got that 1 over card, and Johan's playing it very sneaky, isn't he? He thinks he's really trying to milk him. He doesn't want to raise him. I'm surprised. He's over slow playing it, isn't he? Or does he just not know where he is?
No, I think he knows exactly where he is. He just thinks the guy's going to keep on paying him off, and I think he played it really well.
Yeah. Is it dangerous, James, to keep doing that?
He
might hit 2 pair or something.
He had position on him. Yeah, but he had chips anyway. So because he's got chips, he can actually afford to do that.
Take a few more risks.
Yeah, because his chips are worth less individually. If it goes wrong, he's still in good shape in the tournament. If it goes right, he's taking another step further on. But he can afford to, because he's got the chips, he can afford to do it. And he just thought the guy was going to keep on paying him off. Also, he was in a way containing the size of the pot because the guy was just putting very pleasing amounts into the pot each time. So he was quite comfortable with the size of bets which were going in there anyway.
It's interesting that, isn't it, just hearing you say that, because, of course, the reverse of that is true in as much that had he had a small stack, he might want to play the same way as well in order to try and boost his chips.
If he was very small, yes, he might do that.
So it's interesting, isn't it, how one with big chips will do it and one with very small chips will do the same move.
But funny enough, the one who's sort of...
in the middle.
He probably should close the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, he should, because if it goes wrong for him, he really hurts him.
Yeah.
And he should probably close the deal and say, OK, that's got me up to that next little level.
So it just shows you how the game can change in so many different ways.
Exactly, just according to your chip size, stack size and your opponent's, etc., etc.
Well, no one's hit a pair here, James. So, Isakowicz is going to take it down. And,
pair of jacks.
Yeah, they're coming thick and fast here, these jacks.
Under the gun.
He's limped. He's hoping to see some action here. The table has become a slightly more lively than we last saw, but I don't think he's going to get anyone... oh, that's a horrible card for him. He's got that queen there. He's OK, though, because...
but he can't... He's got to be worried because he's got 3 opponents.
Yeah.
And it feels like someone's... But look at the cards he's playing with.
Well, that's a good little bet there from double top.
But Isaac doesn't believe him.
No.
Now double top.
I actually think the bet was very good from double top, wasn't it?
OK, he tested.
He's now said, what, have you really got any part of that? Now, what's he going to do? He might go for a little re-raise here, he's thinking, shall I re-raise and pretend I've got the 7? Yes, he does. He says, I'm going to pretend I've got the 7. I was pretending I had the queen before, now I'm going to pretend I've got the 7.
But Isaac doesn't believe him at all. Called instantly. Now double top should really switch off.
I don't think he's going to. I think he wants to push it through.
He should switch off.
Yeah.
He has to switch off.
The story was a little bit misleading, wasn't it? 1 minute he's saying I've got the queen, next minute he's saying I've got the 7. Well, which is it?
Yeah.
You know, and that was a problem. Nice move, double top. You know, I like your guile there, but Isakowicz must have read it pretty well. He said, well, hold on a sec, which one is it you've got? 1 minute you're telling me you've got the queen, next minute you're telling me you've got the 7. If you've had the queen before, you wouldn't be making this bet again. So he read it very well, Isakowicz. Good play there. And nice try from double top.
Crespo, pair of 4s limps in. That's fine by me. And he's got position with a pair of 4s.
Well, a 9 will make Isakowicz a straight.
But he's checked, and there we are. Crespo can pop in a bet now.
No. What do you make of that, James? He's got 3 other cards. Should be betting?
I think just he could have tried a bet there. I think it was checked because just against the blinds, their checks are likely to be weakness anyway.
Yeah. This is interesting. Look, the guy with nothing, who's got no chips, is saying, "I want this pot," and he's earned it. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And he thinks to himself, "Well, I've got a backdoor flush, although 4 high."
Yeah,
but
amazing.
Yeah, fantastic read there from IRLD.
David and Goliath, I think it was there.
Yeah, incredible. They're probably thinking, oh, he's not likely to put his last chips in with nothing.
He has to have it now.
Yeah, yeah, nice, very nice.
He got his head into the psychology of the game there.
Yeah, that was cool. Be very, very interesting if he comes on to win it, wouldn't it, from that move? Incredible, with a 4-3.
Yeah, I like to monitor how their nadir was. It was 110, I think, wasn't it?
What, how low he was?
Yes, his lowest point.
His lowest point? No, his lowest point was 40.
Oh, was it down to 40?
Before, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
On the hand with a king-9.
Wow. Right, well, we have to monitor it then. He's up to 170. That's still in big trouble, but
yeah,
breathing.
Absolutely. He's got. He's bought himself another couple of hands. Oh, well, Thicket is saying, I've got top pair. I think it's good. And Isaac Cowicz is saying, well, I've got a very good hand myself. Okay, of course, the jack is a little bit nullified with him having that in his hand, but... Well, Isaac Cowicz had a very nice hand, 2 overcards and a flush draw, but it just wasn't good enough in this game, was it? The cost of draws of death sometimes, aren't they, James?
Yeah, they are.
Shaky Shark having a little look of his 8-9 suited. And Double Top's going to get a... Is he going to put a little bit? He thinks, nope, let's move on. Well, he's got a little draw himself now. He needs a 4. And he might take that as weakness. And Johan is... Let's see what Johan's going to do. He might want to close this off now. Yeah, he does.
240.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see another club on there. He's scared in
No,
case...
he can't give a free card there with the flush draw.
Yeah. Oh, look, he's been rewarded, Johan.
Well, with the 7-8, yeah. You get reward from Earldor, right? Johan won't play it, I don't think. Crespo.
Johan won't play it. I'll be very surprised if he folds. Yeah, he doesn't want to play against 2 of them, though. So, Ace-8 against Ace-King, and of course the 8 comes.
Oh, this is cruel. The comeback stops here, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Yep, it does.
Yeah, unfortunate
well, he got his chips in the right spot. Ace-King against Ace-8, very sweet. And no luck.
Yeah, what can he do? Well, King 2 for double top. He doesn't want to play his button. He relinquishes. And Thickhead is saying, well, I haven't got a very nice hand, so let's just see if I can win it here and now. Put some pressure on Isaac Cowicz, who... problem now is he's down to half his stack, which means that he has to be very choosy about where he calls. And Thickhead knows that. So he's taking full advantage. Johan has Jack Queen. He wants to see a flop. And Thickhead is saying, I've got the best hand here. I'm going to take the betting lead and see if I can maintain it. Ah, he doesn't. He was hoping to hit that 10, wasn't he? Now he's putting a very weak bet, which Johan will call. Well, he did the right thing pre-flop, I think, Thickhead. I don't mind that play. I think it's a nice little play, taking a betting lead. But you didn't follow it through.
No.
You know, the ace came. That's the sort of hand you might want to do something like that with.
Exactly.
And represent it, and you just gave it up. I know Johan likes to check his decent hands, like an ace high flop, but you can't just imagine that someone else has got it all the time.
Well, Crespo there decides not to make up the blind, and he's avoided trouble. Shaky Shark had a pair.
Of course, at the stroke of midnight, we're going to head over to our Beat the Presenter tournament. Yours truly will be playing. i.e. me.
Shaky Shark, he's American Airlines, and Isaac is limped with for 80.
What's the right play here, James, with aces?
It's a matter of about Isaac. I'm not too sure about if he knows his play. He's put the small raise in. I don't mind that.
He's got rid of the blinds.
Yeah.
Oh. Now, we just have to hope.
Now, this is this interesting situation where I said if you give them a free card, he can actually hit the card which beats your hand. It's exactly what I said earlier in the show, do you remember?
Mm. And he's given it to him.
And he gave it to him, so he had a free draw at a straight.
He won't like that too much. He's hoping he hasn't got Queen 10 in his hand. Nearly.
Well, he's managed to get something out of him.
And he's wondering whether he's actually got an ace in his hand now or a king, but he's thinking, no, I've got 2 overcards to my hand. I really wanted to see a 10 there, didn't you, Isaac Cowicz? But it didn't come. And he's given up that one.
Lovely double flop hits the top pair.
Yeah, he doesn't want
and
to...
the second pair.
He doesn't want to check there, does he? 8, 9, 2 hearts, possible straightening cards. He wants to bet that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't mind betting that. I think it's quite fine to bet that. If you're against someone who's a very aggressive player, well, then you can play for the check raise.
Yeah. Yeah, right. No, I agree with that one. If you've got a good chance of getting a raise out of someone, then you maybe want to take that. But it's got to be pretty high, that chance of that happening. And we know Thickhead hasn't been quiet, but he hasn't been overly active.
And Isaacowicz ends up with an up and down straight.
Well, a 2 or a 7 will win this for him. That's all he needs. No, it doesn't come.
That's all, but it's quite a lot to get. With one card to come, he doesn't get it. And Thickhead is in the last 5.
So this is interesting, James, isn't it? We've played, me, you, Kara, Lindsay, I remember just seeing the other day, we played these 1,000 ones where you get 1,000 chips.
Yeah.
Lindsay was playing the other day and I was watching her, and the blinds go up to 163.20, not one player missing.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I've had it. I'm sure you've probably had it too.
Yeah, yes.
We're playing here at 2,000 chips and 3 players gone.
Yes.
And this is interesting, isn't it? Because you tend to get, because there is more play, it means players are actually playing the hands and the flops more, so they're getting more involved, which means that because they're getting more involved, then what happens is they get suckered into situations, and of course they do their chips. It's a bit like pot limit games in a way. Do you see what I mean?
A little bit. I think I've got a slightly different slant on it.
Okay.
It's slightly different. I think it's because this is not a beat the presenter game. And I think that in the beat the presenter games, I think it's no one wants to go out first. Whereas I think in a regular sit and go, then
that's very true.
People play a bit. I don't think you see the overplay with the ace kings in the beat the presenter. I've never seen it in a beat the presenter game where someone decides to push all his chips in on an ace king draw.
Yeah, that's
I've
very
never
true.
seen it. So I think it's a little bit down to that. So I think it's very much down to that myself, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, actually.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, I think that's probably true, yeah.
Johan there, he's raised it up, and he's marching on well here. He's got 5,500 chips.
Well, it's going to be quite a battle, isn't it? And it's going to be interesting because as we get to the latter stages, double top does have generally position on Johan, so it'll be interesting to see whether he can actually make use of that, or whether that has any bearing on the rest of the play.
Yeah, that pair of jacks again.
I know, it's incredible how many times those jacks have appeared.
Shaky sharp. Nope, Johan. Yeah, we've had some amazing hands on here of late.
Yeah, there has been some.
Did you hear about the 10?
The 10?
Oh, right. Did you? It was on this. They used to put some snapshots of it on the forum.
Oh, I didn't
was
see, no.
commentating, and I suddenly said, oh, now what happens here if we get the 10 of spades? It's going to give him a full house. It's going to give them the straight flush. Ping! It landed, yeah.
Oh dear, horrible.
Well, Thickhead.
I played in a hand the other day, heads up, this was, online. And I had a marginal hand, something like, in a heads up hand, something like Queen 6 or something, Queen 7, I don't know what it was. Anyway, checked the flop, the board came Queen Deuce Deuce. So I put a bet out, the guy calls me. Okay. Next card, another Queen. I thought, this is good. I put another bet out, the guy calls me. Last card, Queen again. So I thought, okay, let's make this look like a steal that, I'll make this all in. Cool. He had quad 2s.
Oh, dear.
He flopped quad 2s, yeah. So, of course, he was always going to pay me, but once I hit it, but I just thought that was funny. So they do happen, don't they, James? Not often, but they do.
They do.
I think that brings us on to one thing I would like to put out there. Yeah, and this is a little question for our viewers tonight, James, and that is, what are the weirdest hands that you've ever seen, where you've got big hand over big hand? Okay, that's what we'd like to know on this show tonight. So what are the weirdest hands that you've actually come across? And I'm going to start this one off. Okay?
Oh, come on then.
One of the weirdest ones that I got involved in, this is live, where we actually had, I had aces, raise, re-raise, re-raise, all the money goes in. Against one of the guys was Chandra, funny enough. Anyway, everyone turns their cards over. I've got a big side pot against one of the other guys. Chandra's all in. And Chandra's got the queens. I've got aces. The other guy's got kings. And there's a big side pot between me and the other guy. So the side pot's worth winning on its own. The flop comes out 7, 8, 9, 10, jack. So the queens wins it. And I split the side pot with the other guy. I didn't even win the side pot. So how horrible is that? And that was live.
Yeah.
And that was in a decent tournament as well. So that was really frustrating. I couldn't believe, beating by the queens is one thing, but to lose the side pot as well.
Yeah.
Incredible. So there you are. So that was my one of my funny hands. So if you've got any funny hands, there's a couple of ways you can let us know them, and I'll tell you how to do that. First way is by texting them. You can text them. It might be a bit difficult to do on a text, but give it a go. Text the word poker to 84222. Tell us about your funny hand, put your name at the bottom, and we'll read it out live on there. As well as that, you can actually email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Let us know any funny hands. What about you, James? What's a funny hand you've had?
I'll tell you one which is not amazingly funny, but it was actually an interesting hand. It just happened last night. I went along, I was into Aspers. I've been playing the cash game there the last few days. It's been a big cash game. But last night, for some players weren't there, and there was a smallish Hold'em game, pot limit Hold'em. So there'd been a raise, I'm in late position, and I re-raise. So I end up getting one customer. As it happens, I've done a really fruity re-raise. I've re-raised with 4-5 of spades.
What? 4-5?
Exactly, yes. 4-5 of spades in late position. Well, it's not a hand they're going to be putting me on, I don't think.
No.
Anyway, the flop comes over. I can't actually remember what the flop exactly was, but there was an ace of spades up there, and 3 spades. So I've actually flopped the flush. I'm thinking how wonderful this is, because they think I'll be raising with an ace. So they don't think I've got the flush, because the ace is out there. So it's the absolute dream ticket. Anyway, I managed to get all my money in against the guy. He calls, and he's got trip nines and makes a house. But it was a funny hand, though.
Yeah, very interesting. So you flopped it and he hit his ass.
But I was quite pleased the way I played it, because it was just a game. Certainly, we're going to wrong foot them. They're never going to put me on.
Can I just say something, James?
What's that?
Yeah. Leave the 4-5 suited to the experts. Look, we've got an email from Geordie. Time for email time. Are you ready?
Yes.
Now, James, I don't quite understand what's going on here. He's saying, "Dear Murray and Mark," have you got a?
Because he has nicknamed me the Murray Walker of poker.
What? Give us an example of that.
I think I'll be doing it later when you're playing.
Okay, excellent. Once again, JB, thanks for the great advice about changing gears and playing with position in the latter stages of a multi-table tournament. I.e., I mailed you last week to let you know about the success I achieved with your free advice. Once again, your advice stuck in my head last Tuesday night in a $5 rebuy tourney with 167 runners. Unfortunately, the first hour didn't go so well and played a bit like Danny Negreanu in that 1,000 rebuy tourney in the World Series. We ended up buying 6 times. No, he actually bought in 27 times 2 years ago. Do you remember that one?
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah, 27 times for $1,000. Anyway, in the freeze-out period for the first half hour or so, I played quite tight, waiting for the shorter stacks to be knocked out. Just playing with good hands, I somehow, whether it was luck, skill, or the poker god smiling on me, managed to reach the final table. Then all of a sudden, had all the P&L regs cheering me on in a chat box, and actually managed to win the tourney. My first ever multi-table tourney win online, and I've been playing for just over 2 years. Wow. Well, and it's all down to you, James, basically.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of you, Geordie. Keep on. I want to hear more of your successes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a nice little email there from Geordie, so hopefully we'll hear a few more of those. In the meantime, it's time to go to our phone-in, so don't go too far away, because we're going to be right back after this. Hi, and welcome back, and we've got our phone-in, and today it's Gary Wise from Wise Hand Poker. Are you with us, Gary?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yeah, we're doing great, thanks, Gary.
Can you hear us okay, Gary?
Yeah, I can hear you guys great. I hope my accent doesn't get in the way of your broadcast.
Yeah, it might do. So if we if we ask you to say something a couple of times, you know why.
He's only teasing, Gary. No, one of our presenters is Canadian, so carer. So we're a program which is used to lots of different accents.
Well, you know, as a Canadian who's living in England, I've become accustomed to being confused with Americans and then having people apologize to me when they realize their mistake. So I like the English people just fine.
That's
cool.
Good.
So tell us something about, Gary, you haven't been on the show before, have you? Tell us a little bit about what your background is and what you do.
Well, for lack of a better term, I'm pretty much a poker historian. I come from a family where the in-depth study of games is very much a tradition. And, you know, I sort of learned from my father, and I'm sure I'll eventually pass it on to someone myself. But, you know, when I look at a game, I don't just look at a game as, you know, a couple of cards flying through the air. I look at it as a history and a culture and the like. And through other games, I got into writing about this kind of stuff. And now with poker being so big, it only made sense to move in that direction. So I started studying poker intently around 2000. And now I write about the history and the culture and the characters. You know, that's the kind of stuff that really gets me going.
Oh,
cool.
Brilliant. Now, Gary, actually, I had the pleasure to speak with you a little bit earlier today, and you had some very interesting news. I thought it was a very interesting topic, actually, about the WPT.
Yeah, well, the World Poker Tour Enterprises has announced that they are going to be producing their second season of the Professional Poker Tour. The PPT was a series of invitation-only events starring all of the big-name players in the States, where there was no entry fee and there was prize money being provided. Now, since the first season, they've gone through some changes. They've decided to implement a very strict invitation policy based mostly on World Poker Tour results. And the result of that is that now suddenly a number of big-name players are no longer going to be invited to these invitation-only tournaments. And it'll be interesting to see what the backlash is on that.
Wow, that's a bit of a shock. And can you name any of the ones who are going to be missing because of this new decision?
Well, okay, well, first of all, yes. There are a lot of big names that I'm going to throw around. The first one that I wanted to talk about, though, was Todd Brunson. Todd he doesn't have the public profile of a lot of other players, but he's widely considered to be one of the top 10 players in the world. And, of course, he's the son of Doyle Brunson. And because Todd only went to 2 of 5 tournaments in the first season, he's lost his invitation status. And so we're talking about one of the greatest players in the world not being allowed to compete because they didn't make the invitation list, which is about 300 people. So that one really shocked me.
I think
beyond Todd... I'm sorry?
That's a huge loss, I think, because he's, as well as being a great tournament player, he's a great cash player, he's a great all-round player.
Right. You know, Todd's profile is a little bit lower than some because of the fact that he's never felt obliged to go and sit in the biggest games possible. He plays poker for money. He's very open about the fact that he plays poker for money, and he feels like there are better games a little bit further down. And as a result, he doesn't get a lot of the publicity that some of the other guys get. Now, along with Todd, another name that really stood out to me was Sam Farha. Sammy's the same guy who came second at the World Series in 2003. And I'm not sure about on your side of the Big Lake, but over here we have a show called High Stakes Poker, where he's been appearing and been very successful and very popular. So the fact that he's not going to be invited to the PPT is it's another guy who very big profile, but just isn't going to be around.
Okay, Gary, I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you off there because we're just running out of time. But if you hang on the line, we'll come back to you a little later on, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, that was nice speaking to you, Gary, and we're going to come back to you a little later on in the show. In the meantime, it's time to go off for a little break, and don't go too far away because me and James will be right back after this.
Who's the best student poker player?
Hi, and welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm James Browning, and this is my friend Mark Banin, who's busy playing Beat the Presenter at the moment. So he's in full concentration mode, and we're going to be wishing him the best and looking forward to see how he fares in this sit and go. He's playing a long structure one. He's got 2,000 chips, so looking forward to see that later on. Okay, let's see. We've got an email here. We've got an email from Double Top. And I think we saw Double Top in that sit and go prior to the break. That would be going back to that. Hi, Mark and James. I'm going to take the next hour off. Uh-oh. Had 8, 9 and flopped trips. Then the software froze. Oh my goodness. Flopped 3 9s. I would have taken all of Crespo's 25 chips in that play. Shaky Shark also froze as well during the game. When I got back in the game, I went on tilt. Terrible play with the 3-3. Just couldn't get my head back into the game. Any advice when you know you was on a winning hand and the software freezes? It wasn't the internet connection, as I'm watching via broadband. Well, first of all, I would actually take note of the hand number, and I would actually let the site know what's happened, because I think they'll want to know what's happened, because they want to check out if there is a problem. So take down the hand number of which it happens and tell them about it, and who knows, you know, they might sort of compensate you in some way if it was in fact their fault. So that's what I would do to start with. So first thing is write down that hand number. Next thing is, if you get back in the game, forget about what has happened and now reassess your situation as it is in that tournament. And don't be thinking how you got there or why you got there, because that's got nothing to do with it. Say, I've now got this many chips, the blinds are this size, there's so many people left, what do I do next? And just play the game properly. Think about what happened later, not when you're still trying to win a tournament. And don't let one problem put you off. How much nicer it would be to have that horrible problem, come back, get your head completely together, and then win the tournament from there. And then afterwards you say, this even happened to me, and I still went on and won it. Now that would be a much nicer story, wouldn't it? So don't let other things put you off. Reconcentrate on the situation as it is. That's the best advice I can give you. Okay, why don't we return to that game we were watching earlier? And this is the $20 sit and go. 5 players left, and there is Double Top. So maybe we're going to see it. Maybe it's in this game. I think it happens. Johan there raises to 480. The big blind. He's using his chip stack there, and that's good play. Shaky Shark on the small blind. Might be looking for revenge. Yes, he is. He raises a Johan now. Oh, and Johan calls with ace-9. Dominated by Shaky Shark. Shaky's committed all in. Johan will put this down. He's not connected. He knows to put them down. He's not stubborn. I'm fully confident he's going to put it down. Waits with anticipation. I think he... Oh, my goodness, Johan. Well, well. That was a shock to me. I just didn't think Johan would call that one. Okay. He believed his ace was winning, I suppose. A raise from Thickhead. A re-raise from Crespo. Flop comes 3, 4, 6. There's 2 hearts. Thickhead checks. Handing the initiative to Crespo, who takes it, bets 1150 and takes down the pot. Shaky Shark, 6-8. Johan on the button with Jack 5. Motown suited. Wow, cranks it up to 480 and takes it down. Good aggressive play. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, Johan, ace-9. I think we'll see another bet from him here. We do. It's 480, 3 times the big blind. And he's recapturing the chips. Now he's got Queen-King under the gun. A bigger bet. 960, just didn't want any callers there. Well, amazing run there from Johan. He's got back to 5,000 again after his mishap with the ace-9. 7-4. Surrenders. Oh, this could be the one. 8-9. Look at this. Double top has hit the trips. And I believe this is what he was referring to in his email. Crespo, 10 jack. He's got the 10. 2 pairs for Crespo. And he bets 320. Double top. I'm going to see what happens. What happens? Is he get frozen here, or we're looking? Ah, my goodness. Oh, poor double top. Oh, and there he was, timed out in the end, so must have been frozen. Well, let's see how quickly he gets back in the game. Bad luck for double top there. Shaky shark. King 4. Now let's see if he's got any play here yet. Oh, he is back in the game there, so it was momentarily frozen then. And because he was back in the next hand, that was really strange. So thickhead bets 320, double top ace king, puts it down. Good discipline, but as we could see, he was actually winning. But doesn't matter. You've got to be able to pass some winning hands to be able to pass lots of losing hands. It's an absolute necessity in Texas Hold'em to be able to put hands down to be, in No Limit Hold'em, to be a winning player in the long run. Well, a lovely present there for Shaky. He gets 480 chips with a load of garbage. And he's hit his king, Johan. Crespo bets 320. And a massive bet from Johan there. King Kong on the button. What a lovely time. And he just flat calls. He wants to get some action here. I don't blame him. Double top. He's got a straight draw double top and a pair of threes. Shaky shark bets, double top calls. Well, it's an expensive bet to just to call on, and he's being put all in now. Double top pair of threes, calls it. Oh, I see why he's a bit disappointed. Drawing a bit thin there. He's got 4 2s and 2 3s. He was on a 6-card draw, and as he said, he was. There it is there, 6-card draw, 4 2s to make a straight, 2 3s to make trips. Didn't make it. Said that he was really just so upset about being frozen out in the big hand when he had trips. Well, I gave you my answer before. I still stand by it, but I do sympathise with you, and that is hard lines. But make the effort and actually contact the site and explain what happened. I'm sure they'll be interested to hear about it. And you can say, listen, it was even shown on Poker Night Live, so please tell me what happened. Wham! And there it is, Crespo, nut flush. Shaky shark, ace 10 on the button. Cranks it up to twice the big blind. Captures 480, no risk. So we've got the rich and the poor here. We've got Johan and Sharky, who are the rich. We've got Crespo and Thickhead, who are the poor. And Johan's been mega aggressive here. Absolute garbage. He raises it up under the gun, and he's taken advantage of the situation that there's people do not want to go out on the bubble. And he's also the fact that he's got a big stack. So he's using that big stack, and he's pressurizing the situation. He's got a real hand now, and there it is, all in. And he's hit his king. And there we go. Home and dry. Johan's just knocked out Thickhead. There's no bubble situation, and Johan's got 9,510 chips. Very good play by Johan. He'd been making so many moves. He found a real hand. Thickhead didn't believe it, and he got paid off. So that's what happens. By the time someone realizes you've been making moves all the time, you then find a real hand, and they decide to keep you honest at the wrong time. Crespo presses the all-in button with his ace-9. He's got the third pair there. But we can see that Shaky Shark's got nothing. Crespo relieved just to take that down. And now he's got sixes. Just calls with sixes. I think with the amount of chips he's got there, I'd have been more inclined to push. Because if... Oh, and he's just let Johan in here. And that the blinds were significant enough to win. 960 he could have won. That was poor play by Crespo. He could have won 960 just by pushing. And if he was called, his pair of sixes was a small favourite against two overcards anyway. And the 960 was significant enough for him. But he slow played, he just flat called. Sixes is awkward to play. He didn't bet. His opponent then hit the winning card on the turn. And there's a problem with the play. So, not pleased with that one, Cress, I'm afraid. Well, there you are. That's better. You had to press the button now. You've left 60 behind for your bus fare. Not a bad idea. Johan. Oh, Johan decides to get involved. He thinks I might be able to knock them both out at once. Go for the double knockout. Well, there's no double knockout coming here. And Shaky Shark knocks out Crespo. Right, 2-2-10. Johan with the 10, two pairs. Johan Harron, a small blind, 6-4, decides not to play there. He's waiting for the right moment here. Well, he's found rubbish again, but he wins that one. And look at the blind, 640, 1280. How do you celebrate? You've got 7-3 and you win 1,920 chips with one of the worst hands. What a nice feeling. Again, he's not too keen on that, I think. He might well pass that. He does. Small blind out of position here. Big blind got all the advantages. Got the big blind in there and the button. Shaky Shark said, I'll play with this one. And Johan's hit the 7 here. Now that card's a bit worrying. Oh dear, look at that. And that's made a split pot. Johan bets, but Shaky doesn't get put off and calls. King 8 Jack. Johan's got the Jack. It's looking like it's all over. Yep, and there's another jack lands there. It's 3 jacks for Johan, and I must say, I think a very well played sit and go by Johan tonight. Really used his chip stack when he had it. The only thing I was a bit surprised at was his call with the ace-9, but he rebounded straight after that, and I think it was a very, very good demonstration. Good play from him. Well played, Johan, indeed. Very good. Okay, we've got some emails. Got an email here from Big Shan. Remember him? Hi, guys. Was hoping you would not show that hand on TV. Laugh out loud. I've played Johan several times in the past. And that was the guy who had the ace-king, do you remember? I've played Johan several times in the past and know him to be a fairly solid player, but he has won some very big pots with outrageous bluffs. I know it was a stupid play, and I would not normally play this way. Would normally have laid down after the re-raise, but fancied Johan to be trying to win a big pot on the sly, so he could bully with a big stack. Hope this brings some sense to a very stupid play. No? Oh well. I'm learning all the time, and thanks for your help. I've won several online tourneys. This is my first email to you guys, but I felt I had to try and justify the poor play in some way. Shan, it's a pleasure to have got your email. Make sure that you send us lots more, because once you've sent the first one, that's the hardest one to send. But you've found a way now. We want to hear from you a lot more times. I can't take back what I said. I didn't like the play at all. Regarding your analysis of Johan, I think if you look at Johan in the early stages of a sit and go, I don't think he's doing too much bluffing generally. He normally plays pretty solidly in the early stages. And I think that was a bit of missing info you had from your analysis. Anyway, I look forward to see you playing much better another night and hopefully winning one of these. Okay, let's have a look. We've got another one here. And this is from Jacob, a.k.a. L. Twig. Playing in a $5, $10 cash game, raised with Jack-Jack with 2 callers. Flop comes Jack 3-5. Rainbow. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Trips. I check and the other player checks. With the button betting out, I call, as does the other player. Turn an offsuit 6. And I check raise a lot on the turn with a straight draw on board. River another 6, and I have jacks full. I get raised the minimum, move all in. Called with 6-6. He has quads. Oh my goodness. Oh well, lost a Laura cash and still haven't really recovered. Great show as always. P.S. Can we get some famous Mr. Browning impressions? Magic.
I'm ever so sorry, Twig, that you had that misfortune with that very unlucky quads on the river. But I hope your bankroll recovers soon.
Okay. All right then, let's get back to the game. It's MTT here. And we've got 27 runners left on 4 tables. And I'm just going to try and find out, because we had rebuys and add-ons, so I want to find out what the total number of chips was in the tournament to give us a better idea. So our whiz kids in the gallery there are going to be finding out. They're pretty on the ball, as always. 207,000. They calculated it in a flash. So here we are, the blinds are 200, 400. And the average chip stack here is 7666. So luckily it's the 8th today, so it wasn't an omen-esque type number. So it's a raise here from Chelsea, and no participants. Widgie with ace queen, and he's raised it 4 times the big blind, and I think this is going to take the money down. Oh, how wrong was I? Muscle Bug used his muscle, did a massive re-raise, and look at that, he's hit the flush on the river. Wow. Semi-bluff, he had a flush draw. Widgie had the real hand, he had the top pair, queens. Musclebug didn't believe it, he made the move and got fortunate on the end there. Right, so we're down to 3 tables now, and it's down to 23 runners. So average chips is up to 9,000 now. Now in this one, in fact, what they were allowed was, it wasn't a multiple rebuy tournament. They were allowed one rebuy and 1 add-on. And I believe that will just be, the add-on will just be the same number of chips as the starting chips, which will be 2,000. Oh, was it 1,500? Beg your pardon. Maybe we can find that out for you. No, it'll probably be 1,500, but you get the same for the add-on. But I'll confirm that to you in a minute. Muscle Bug. Don't think you'll be playing that one. Widgie's asked a question, ace 5. He knows he's got to do something. Blinds are 200, 400. Not too many rounds of play. And I like this play. Time was right. He had to do something, and good aggressive play. Either take the blinds, or if you underdog, just get lucky if you can and double up. But he had to try something. Didn't want to lose any more chips before making his move. Give himself the maximum strength that he could. And it's a flat raise from Chelsea, called by Snakey. And Elicitor, pair of 9s. Not a bad flop for him, apart from the fact there's an ace there. And the ace, of course, a hand which most people like to play with. And as we can see, 2 people liked to play with it. And they've got rather close kickers, haven't they? Ace 7 against ace 4. But of course, at this moment, the ace 7 is winning. He's got 2 pairs, aces and 6s with the 7. But of course, that has been negated now, the kicker, with the jack, because the jack being bigger than a 7 and a 4. So they both had 2 pairs, aces and 6s with a jack. Chelsea under the gun with 10 jack off suit. Elicitor chucks that garbage in the bin. And I was right, it was actually just been confirmed, it's 1,500 starting chips, and the same for the add-on. And we've had a raise here from Widgie. He's pressed the all-in button again. Aggressive play, but look, he has to do this. The blinds are 3-6. That's 900 a round, and he hasn't got much play. And I think a good move. I like it. He's in the cutoff. He's a good chance he's going to end up against the blinds. we can see that Blind, in fact, is winning with his ace, but it's going to be a hard call because 3,300 is enough. It's just 2,700 more he has to put in there. He isn't that chipped up, and we've seen there how you can take advantage of using your initiative and using your position for deciding when to place that bet. And of course, when you get someone to pass the better hand, this is a wonderful poker result. Someone just asked us there how many times ace-7 against ace-4 would pre-flop would end up a tie, and it would end up a tie 28% of the time. They're dropping like flies now. We're down to 20 now. And average chips just over 10,000. Raise from Idle Yes. And he takes down those chips. So we're looking at this table here. We've got Chelsea just on average, Elicitor well above, Idle Yes just around about average, and Lee very comfortable with 19,800. Perhaps we can have a look at one of the other tables. No sooner said than done. The magic of the matrix. And we've just been joined by Musclebug again there in the bottom left. And there's Morrison. Buffy Be Good, of course, another regular. Ace Queen, and we lose another one. 7-8 for Panini. I think Mark would say that would be a tasty Panini hand. There's another one there. Now they're breeding like flies, these 7-8s. Buffy Be Good was good. Musclebug, small blind, 6-jack. Balrog there. No, he decides not to make it the small blind. But the problem there, Panini's got a bigger stack than him, almost getting on for twice his size, so makes him be a bit selective with his small blind. Doesn't want to get bullied. And interesting to see what he's going to do with his A3 suited here, though. Is he going to try anything, Balrog? We'll have to wait and see. No, he doesn't. And the pair of tens, Musclebug muscled his way to the victory there. don't think we'll see anything for Panini there, but we've got a nice hand in the small blind. Buffy be good. Ace King, big slick. Let's see how he prices it. He makes it 1800, 3 times the big blind. And Ace 3 can't enjoy that, and he doesn't, and he is disciplined and passes. Panini, Ace 9. We can see there's another Ace 9 on the big blind. And just a call from Panini. Varying his play there, but he has got a big stack. And he's captured position, that's what he wanted, for no raise. So he's heads up with his Ace 9. And it's always quite interesting to see when two hands the same play each other, to see what happens. We'd have to say that, of course, that Panini should be favourite, because he's got position. Well, he's had a check from Musclebug. He's definitely going to bet. He bets 1200, but he's had the re-raise from Musclebug. Now Panini might be worried about his kicker, and he's definitely been asked a question by Musclebug. So good bet, and I think he needed to do this because he hasn't got that many chips to be playing a guessing game, Musclebug. And look at this. It looks like he's done it. Well done, Musclebug. No mucking around. And captured the 1200 off Panini. Ginger makes it 1800 with 2 Ninas, pair of 9s. 8-3 won't want to play, but the Ace 10 might, and it's Balrog with the Ace 10. It's going to cost you 1200, sir. No, it's not. It's going to cost you 4200, he says. I'm re-raising. I'm asking the question straight away. And that's difficult now for Ginger. It's not what he wanted to see. What have I walked into now, he's thinking. And he puts it down because he's not sure, because he thinks, well, I'm sure that Balrog has at least got 2 overcards, in which case I'm only a small favourite, or Balrog has got probably a pair of 10s or above. And that's horrible for me because I'm virtually about 18% against those over pairs. So as a package, Ginger said he didn't want to guess and he decided to pass. Now, did he have enough chips too? I think he did. It was a difficult situation, but as I said before, in No Limit Hold'em, although we saw he had the better hand, it is a necessity to be able to pass hands in No Limit Hold'em. You will not become a good winner if you can't pass hands, that is for sure. We're down to 17 runners. When we sort of set off playing No Limit Hold'em, we're looking to maximise wins. We're looking to minimise losses. And we're looking to capture situations where we can steal chips. And those are probably our 3 things that we've got on our head when we start to play No Limit. Musclebug 710 off shoot. And Panini raises it up to 1800. No one's got a king. Aqua against Ace Jack. Ace Jack bets and stole the initiative. And the chips. Blind still 3-6. Panini puts down the small pair. He's gone down to 14,000 now. He was a bit richer before. Buffy be good on the button, decides nothing, and win AK, which is looks like Vietnamese there, similar to Scotty win. 8-10-4, and we've got a flush draw from Musclebug and the pair of eights. It's a strong, strong hand, and he's bet it strong, and he collects the chips. It's a raise from Buffy, 1800. Very nice used position there. He was in the cutoff. Nice time to bet. And we've got the contest here possibly. We've got ace-10 has made it 1200, flat raise, Musclebug, pair of eights. Now he could come over the top or pass. I think actually either way was the play there. I wouldn't want to be just calling with that. I don't think he had enough chips to call. And I quite liked to either put it down or ask the question and come over the top. Right, you can see there that this table's filled up. What's that mean? It means we're down to 16 runners. We've got 8 on each. And it's certainly moving pretty quickly. So the average chip stack is now just under 13,000. And we've had a big raise here, 4 times the big blind from Balrog. Balrog has been playing very solidly there. He's picked his moments, he's waited for a hand, he's found one. And flush against flush would suit him down to the ground. But he doesn't get it. Panini. 24 ginger on the button. Ace 10. Definitely going to see something here. What's the price? The blinds are 4-8 now. He's made it 24, 3 times the big blind, and that should be enough. Yep, he collects it. Panini dwelling with his 10 deuce. Wondering if he could emulate Doyle Brunson. Decided not to give it a try. $24 ginger, no thanks. And just down to the bill here. Now, short stacked is difficult, and I think that's right, because basically when you're down to a short stack, and when you've got 5,000 now, you are down to a short stack. Blinds are 4,800, so therefore 5 rounds is going to cost you 6,000. Bill has got less than that. He doesn't want to even fritter away small blinds because he's better to save those chips for doing one good punch than some puny little jabs. He hasn't got enough chips to be jabbing. He's only got enough chips to be punching. So he needs to better to commit his chips with one big punch than the few little jabs. And Buffy Be Good is sitting there with American Airlines, and Balrog, poor Balrog's got a pair of queens. And look at this, Ace 8 has decided to crank up the action first. My goodness, what's going to happen next? He's made it 2400. Buffy Be Good is just called. Very tricky. You could get well paid here. Muscle Bug, surely not. No, I don't think so, not with Ace 5. But Balrog, I fear the worst for Balrog here. And I think he might be suckered into raising. He is, and he's made it 7,200. Surely Ginger can't be interested now. He must put this down. Okay, you tried, Ginger, we don't blame you, but yes, he puts it down, and Buffy Be Good, of course, no decision to make. The rest of his chips goes in. Balrog has to call now, he's pot committed, and look at that, on the flop a queen. Absolutely unbelievable. The queen, Balrog. Woo! What a result for you there. Queens cracks the aces. The aces played it beautifully. They needed to win chips. He wasn't so well stacked, and he got very, very unlucky there. Well, there is a quick flash to the other table here, but back to that table, and that was, wow. No waiting, Balrog. Ping, first card, a lady. One of the sweetest ladies you've seen. And it's taken you to 25,262.5 chips. Not bad. Okay, and Bodders, using name, Muscle Bug, Queen 4. Murder Chickadee. Don't know where that came from. Okay, and there's a little bit of a pause there again. I don't know what's quite going on. Give it a kick start. Okay, we'll get back to that MTT, and I've got an email for you, and this is an email from Martin. Hi guys, not a hand I was involved in, but one that happened at one of our schools. Small R&A tourney, 3 players all in pre-flop. Player 1, pair of 8s, player 2, pair of 10s, player 3, queen, queen. Flop comes, unbelievably, king, 10, queen. We've got 3 lots of trips there. After a bit of shouting and roaring, turn comes an 8. Wow! More shouting and roaring. When the river hits the board, it's a 10. Seen it coming really, didn't you? Just to prove that it doesn't just happen on the internet. And then there's another one here from Andy. Dear Mark and James, my weirdest hand that I can think of comes from a home game. 5 of us and a friendly £5 rebuy. Coming up to the end of the rebuy, blinds are at 2-4, and I have 160 in my stack as chip leader. There was a raise and a re-raise all in pre-flop, and I have pocket 4s on the big blind. From the banter, I'm reasonably sure neither has anything wonderful, certainly not an overpair. Normally that's a simple fold anyway, but I decided to call and hit a set of 4s on the flop. But the turn brought a diamond flush draw for one player, and the flush arrived on the river. But it was the 4 of diamonds. I made quads and took down the pot. Not a great one, but I would never have called if my mates hadn't basically told me what they had. Keep up the good work. And these stories are from Mark's request for some poker stories of unusual hands. And in fact, we've got an unusual hand, possibly, because Mark's joined us. But we're not telling you how he's done. We will find out later.
We will. We will indeed. Very shortly.
Very shortly.
Yeah, in about 15 minutes or so.
All right, okay. Be looking forward to that. I've got another email here. In fact, actually, I'll flick back because there was one for you which I've saved, Mark. And it's from Double Top. Hi, Mark. how was the helicopter trip and the rest of your birthday?
Ah, it was pretty good actually. Yeah, I went up in a helicopter, piloted a helicopter.
Oh, you piloted one?
Yeah, with sort of a co-piloted one in effect.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but I had the controls all to myself, so it was pretty good. Yeah, it was good fun, very good fun. So yeah, I recommend it if you got the time and you got the opportunity. Definitely.
Good experience.
Very good experience. Yeah, good fun.
Brilliant.
Very good fun.
Okay, and there's one here from Richard.
Probably not good fun for the teacher, I know.
Hi there, my weirdest hand was one that I won heads up in a home tournament. I hold King 10 off. Flop comes 3, 8, 10. I'm the short stack, but we're both reasonably deep. So I hope for a bullying move and check. My opponent bets a third of the pot. I go over the top and raise him 1.5 times the pot. He puts me all in. I call. He yells some German yawp of joy. I leave that to your imagination, or go watch the World Cup for some examples, and rolls over 8-8. Turn comes king, river comes king. I went on to win the heads up because he couldn't get over the beat. Great show, keep it up. Runner, runner.
Wow.
Runner, runner, what a dream. And there's another one here from Sharky. Okay, we can just about get this one in. It's an email from Sharky. Playing in our local boozer, 10-handed, always on the button, like, with bearer sevens at £20. A £20 a man passive game with mates, 1,500 chips. First deal, blinds, 10-20. Everyone flat called to me, so I raised to 150. Big blind called me with king 9, and one more call with 9-8 suited. Flop, king 9 king. King's full house for big blind. Check, check. I bet 400, big blind calls. Next person also calls. Turn 7, full house for me. Check, check. I go all in, big blind calls. Next one calls with a flush draw. I find to my horror that I'm behind to a king straight. River 7, 4-7 for me. My mate's jaw hits the floor, and I'm sitting with 4,500 chips after the first deal. I went on to win £200, and Carl is still going on about it today.
It's quite a hand,
isn't it?
Yeah, we're getting some good ones, aren't we?
Unbelievable, yeah. Okay, so we will be returning after the break to be watching Beat the Presenter with Mark, and I'm actually really quite looking forward to that. Also, if any of you send in plenty more emails, we do want to hear from you. Listen, if you've got any, whatever you want to talk about, even, listen, it's come to the time for us to be supporting England in the World Cup as well. So if you've got any cheers for England in the World Cup, we'll listen to those as well. We want to hear, we just want to be interactive, fully interactive with you tonight. Come on, loads more emails, get clicking there, or text, and you can text us at poker, put the word poker in and your question, you can text us at 84222, that's 84222, or email us at poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Okay, actually, I've got a bit of news, apparently.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, apparently it's the World Cup, and apparently it's Sven Eriksson and Wayne Rooney. They've got to decide if Wayne's going to play.
Yeah.
And Sven said to Wayne, he said, I think you might have to have a cortisone injection. And Wayne was not very happy. He said, I'd rather have a BMW convertible.
James. Yeah, you always get them from James. So if you've got any good poker jokes, perhaps that's another thing they could send in.
Yeah, we just want to hear from you. That's all we want to do. Okay. Anyway, join us after the break for Mark in Beat the Presenter.
Yeah, although I can't wait. Soon. Welcome back to today's phone-in, and as you know from the last segment, it is actually with Gary Wise. Are you with us, Gary?
Hey, guys.
Excellent stuff. So just before we left last time, we were talking about the PPT and how some of the people were actually left out of the actual event in terms of the invitations. We were just talking about it. I just wanted to carry on that topic with you, and you were talking about how some of the champions weren't going to be there as well, and we were just talking about Sami Farha, who wasn't invited.
Right, Sammy won't be there, but I've got a list in front of me now of what may even be bigger names, because these are all guys who will not be invited, who have all won the World Series of Poker's main event.
Wow. So these are world champions that aren't being invited?
I'm sorry?
So basically what you're saying, these are former champions who aren't being invited back?
Right. So amongst those guys, we've got Chris Moneymaker, Johnny Chan, Bobby Baldwin, Hamid Dastmalchi, who I think came from England originally, Robert Barconi, Amarillo Slim, Noel Furlong, an Irishman, and you know, like, these guys are all not being invited because the WPT, what they are trying to do is establish a core group of professionals who people can follow on a consistent basis. And if a guy like Johnny Chan only shows up once every 5 tournaments, it not only brings into question the viability of the process, but it also makes the viewer ask, well, if these tournaments aren't good enough for Johnny to show up to, why are they good enough for us to watch? And so the PPT, what they're trying to do is basically show us there's such a thing as a true professional, a true circuit professional, and these are the guys that we're going to show you.
Well, it sounds like, to me, it sounds like very much like there's a power struggle going on between the WPT and, in effect, the World Series people.
Well, you know, in a sense, you know, the World Series is the old guard, and the WPT is kind of a new guard, although, you know, obviously they're getting a little bit more entrenched now. I've always hoped that eventually the two of them would kind of come to a handshake agreement where they can, you know, sort of nurture the poker community to the point where poker becomes this widely accepted competitive endeavor. Right now, poker is, you know, it's obviously widely accepted, but, you know, a lot of it is very similar to ballroom dancing or something like that, where, you know, a lot of it is pomp and circumstance. And, you know, I would like to see a little more attention paid to the game itself. So, you know, hopefully the WPT and the World Series of Poker will be able to eventually, you know, get over their differences and come together to try to create a whole that's better than the parts.
It seems that this has just suddenly come out the woodwork just as a bit of a shock, though, doesn't it? I don't know whether even the players were going to expect this to happen. So it seems to be a bit unfair of them not to give sort of a warning, say, like, in the future this is going to happen. It's like the players haven't been warned enough, I think.
Well, you know, I think part of that is poker players, by their very nature, are people who have been taught to look out for themselves and to understand that they are fighting against the world, or, you know, when you're at the table, the table. So when it comes to business dealings and the like, you know, it's only natural that they're going to consider themselves first and take less of a communal view. Now, the unfortunate side effect of that is that everybody's kind of looking out for their own interests without, you know, much of a mutual feel. But I think that eventually, when the hype of the initial rush dies down completely, I think those people are going to have to realize, you know what, we're all in this boat together. And I think that we need to paddle in unison, so to speak, in order to keep the boat afloat. I'm going to stop with the metaphor now, but I think you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. So, it's quite interesting, isn't it, how there are so many players. I mean, Johnny Chan, we had actually on our show just a couple of weeks ago. And, it was a great scoop for us to actually have him on the show and a great insight into, how he views the game of poker. So, to have someone like that, of that stature, missing is incredible, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's Johnny's doing as much as it's anybody else's. Johnny has chosen not to play in the World Poker Tour events sometimes, and he chooses not to travel to the Pro Poker Tour events.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gary.
That means that
I'm just going to have to stop you there again. We're just running out of time. But if you hang about, we'll catch you in about an hour or so, if that's okay.
Sounds great.
Great. Okay, that was Gary Wise from White Hand Poker. We're going to take a short break now. Don't go too far. Good evening and welcome back to Poker Night Live, the show that brings you players playing poker from all around the world, live on the internet. I'm Mark Banin, this is James Browning. It's been a good show so far, James?
It has, it's been an interesting show, and we've got a juicy bit to come.
We have indeed. Okay, well, before we left, we had a look at some cash games, and we had a look at some tourneys, and also a multi-table tourney. But this time, it's time to head into the Beat the Presenter tourney. That's the one I played in a little while ago, so should we see how we did?
Here's one we made earlier.
Yeah. Okay, first hand. Here we go.
And it's Mr. Banin there with her in the cutoff.
With the mighty Jack 9. So I decided I was going to play this game a little aggressively. And I put in a small little raise here just to take the lead in the betting. Made it 50. Whole purpose here was not to scare anyone off, but just to take the lead. And then perhaps take it away on the flop.
Gets called by Queen Jack, which is not great for you, but what did you think of the flop?
Yeah, well, I've got, as far as I'm concerned, I've got Ace King, so I'm playing.
You've hit the flop.
I've hit the flop, absolutely. I'm representing something more than Jack 9, so as far as I'm concerned, I've hit it.
And that's good. I like that thinking by Mark, that he's actually, in his mind, he's put himself on a hand, and now he's betting accordingly, or he's trying to represent the storyline.
So that set me on my way, and off I go. So it sort of worked out okay on that occasion. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Ah, you've got King Queen.
King Queen, the dreaded King Queen.
King Queen suited even.
Yeah. Had I known this is what he had.
There's been a raise.
Yeah. I toyed with the idea of playing it, but I had too many people behind me. I don't know what this guy's raising with. He could have me dominated. So
Well, you were underdog against him anyway.
yeah, so I didn't want to play. If I was on the button, I would have called, but not from when I got still 4 people behind me.
Johan limps with Ace King.
Yeah, I'm tempted with this 5-6, but once again, too many people behind me, so I don't do so. 10
I
bob.
thought you might have been tempted after there was already an initial limp,
Well,
because sometimes that creates a domino effect.
yeah.
But,
I was just, as I said,
as
there's
it
too many
happens,
people
you've-
behind me. Yeah.
As it happens, you've avoided trouble anyway, because this raise would be coming. But Johan's limp has paid off well for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as he stays put. Which I'm sure he will for the extra 65. It's whether he's going to raise or not, that's the only thing. Will he represent strength, or will he just call? Yep, he has. He's decided to show that, to make out like he's limped in with a big hand.
And 10 Bob Billy just calls it in an instant.
Yeah, and he's played that well, I thought. He's made it like he's got a big pair.
Yeah, pot was 590, bet 400.
And he really just has to give this up now.
And he does.
Yep, good play
And
by there
Johan
by
takes
Johan.
the lead. Well, rubbish for Mark there, Jack 2. 7-8 on tilt.
Yeah.
Camstar decides to make a call with King Deuce. Optimistic, pal. I don't like that call.
No, King 2 is not a hand you really want to be calling
So
with,
it's
is it?
very hard to hand to play out of position, isn't it? And why
Yeah.
would you want to play that out of position early stages of the tournament?
Oh, what's up now?
We're testing our memories to see if we can remember what the hands were. Can't see.
Okay.
Right. Well, I think we've just been rewinding something, and we've actually rewound off the screen. So we're going to get back to Mark's tourney there.
Yeah.
And we're back in business.
Yeah, we're sorry if we lost you there. We actually lost it ourselves for a moment, but we're back. Okay, so I'm 9-4 on the blinds here. I think he gets checked round to me. He was a limper, and I don't really hit anything here. star with a 9-10 offsuit, so it's a limp. Your hand folds, and I've got no part of this, but well, I'm in for free. I've really lost. I'm not particularly keen and interested in this hand, whatever comes. You know, well, it'd have to be something reasonably big.
It's an awkward hand to play, Mark, isn't it? 9-4. I mean,
Yeah.
Hit a 9, hit a 4. So what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've lost interest, obviously,
And
especially with 2 clubs on there.
and he's actually got the second best pair there, Camstar.
Yeah.
And he quite rightly found out where he was. He didn't want to see another card there because it would just be putting him off. And 7-8 on tilt just limps in with the 4s. And the table does look to be pretty careful, as it normally is in these Beat the Presenters.
Yeah, they've started to play a little slowly. And I think I'm going to
Does
start...
Mark make up the small blind?
No, I don't. No, I fold. No, I don't want to play 8-3. It has no prospects. I don't want to waste 10. That's all I see it as, a waste of 10. So, do you make up the small blind there, James?
No.
No, not worth it with 8-3. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple of gaps in there, maybe 8-5 or something, or 7-4 even, maybe, but not 8-3. Well, set of 4s for 7-8 on tilt. That looks pretty nice.
And Mark then 9-6 decides to bet 3 times the big blind using his position, and he's up against 7-8, which is quite ironical.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's slow playing the king here, so I just check.
Check after you hit your pair.
Yeah, I wanted to see if he was. Well, he checked very quickly after that flop came, so I wasn't convinced that he didn't have a king. So I'm convinced now. So I do put out a bet, about 80 or something like that, I think. I think I put out a bet. I did. It froze for a moment for some reason.
Right.
That's why. Yeah.
Bet 60 into a pot of 130, so just a tad under half the pot. Are you happy with that bet size?
Yeah, I think 80 would have been probably a slightly better bet.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I felt, I just don't want to invite him to suddenly try and get cheeky with me there.
Yeah.
And I think just that, I'd prefer that extra 20. It just felt, that's what I felt in my gut. And as soon as I asked you, you said, yeah, I think I prefer 80. I'm glad about that. That's what I felt myself. Just felt that, it looked like it was dead.
A little bit
slapped.
sweet.
Someone might have just decided to slap you down a bit or something.
Oh, Tragic Trev, taking your advice, not calling you the King Queen on the button.
And good for him, he saved money on it.
Yeah. Now I've hit my ace, so I quite like that. I put a little bet out here, I think. Oh, no, I didn't. I checked it. I was trying to get 10 bob to not think me for an ace. Hope that he put some kind of bet. I think he reciprocates by putting out a bet. Or if he doesn't put out a bet, he puts out a call. Let's have a look.
He's put out a bet, 100.
I just wanted to see if he could give me any more chips. I was pretty convinced I was ahead at this point. Just in case he hit some kind of miracle there. No point betting out. I'm only going to get...
No, he's only going to be called if you're losing in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you sort of slow played then.
I played it softly.
You played
rather
it
than
softly.
slow played, I'll say. Yeah, I'll call it in that case as playing it softly. I was prepared to call any bets within reason. I mean, if you put a really big bet, it made sense, and maybe I'd fold. But
yeah.
Well, this is going to be interesting because Camstar's raised with a 9-10 suited, but as we can see, 7-8 on tilt has a real hand, pair of aces.
And it'll be interesting to see what he bets here.
Well, he
Just on the
doubled.
minimum re-raise. 80 with 60. You know, he'd raise 60, re-raise another 60.
Well, no joy here for Cam Starr, so...
And actually 7-8 is pleased with that flop because he thinks that we didn't think Cam Starr raising will have a 3, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty big hand for him, isn't it? When you put board
Yeah,
pairs like that and it's a 3.
slightly worried about the king, just in case Cam Starr's raise was with the Cowboys. I mean, that's the one thing which crosses your mind, but you'll soon find out that's not the case.
No, Cam Starr has nothing apart from backdoor flush. But
and also, look at that. 7-8, I thought he put out a nice size bet there for 2 reasons. He could get someone really calling that with a much worse hand, which is pretty good. Or he could find out if someone had actually really funny hit something really big, or was, you know, he could perhaps find that out. But it looked like he was confident as well. He's really it's a clever bet, really. It was a nice size bet.
Well, I like this bet by 10 Bob. He's put out a bet to see where he is. He's a limper under the gun. He's wondering what he's got, and he doesn't want to hit his king and the guy sitting there with aces. So he's decided to ask a question pre-flop. And the guy said, well, I've got a high hand, but it's not that big. Now, this would be a raising opportunity for 10 Bob, because, hold on a sec, I've got the lead in the betting. Why are you betting out all of a sudden? What have you got? Have you hit a 9, perhaps? Perhaps you've hit a 9. Or perhaps you're just on the flush draw and you're trying to slow me down.
But now he's called.
But we can see he's not on a flush draw, he's actually on a straight draw. 9, 10, Jack, Queen.
But that's difficult for 10 Bob now, because Cam Starr just called straight away, so he's wondering now.
Yeah, he's trying to put a stop bet in again, James, isn't he? That smells of a stop bet, stinks of a stop bet, doesn't it?
Into that now, because look at the size of the pot there. It's a pot of 530 and he's bet 80 into it. But is it going to work? No, it doesn't.
Oh, he's hit his straight.
And this is bad news for 10 Bob, because
Yeah.
10 Bob, who's had nothing, has now hit the top pair. But of course, there is a possible flush out there. There is a possible straight out there. Well, I hope he doesn't re-raise, but he's paid him off.
Yeah.
And perhaps it was difficult not to pay him off, but...
yeah. He didn't read that turn bet, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
This is the danger, of course, of hanging in there often with these ace-kings, because they often improve just to force you to pay someone off.
Yeah, that's usually the case, isn't it? Yeah, very good point there. You'd be careful of hanging in with, like James has said, hanging in with ace-king, because all it does is, like James has said, it doesn't improve to very much. All it improves to is a pair.
Yeah. And sometimes the other guy could have been in there with a horrible hand like ace-4. He's hit the 4 on the flop, and then on the river comes the ace. You're delighted, and he's even more delighted. He's got 2 pairs, and he sucks up all your chips with a horrible hand. So it is a horrible... It's staying in there. When you're staying in there with the ace-king, you don't know how you're drawing. You could be drawing dead. That is... Now, because...
Well, this is the situation that you just mentioned a second ago, James.
Yes.
No, he's got ace-queen. Now, will he stay? This is the question.
Yeah, this is it.
No,
He's actually only got 3 outs.
Yeah.
So you can't even say you've got the 6 outs. 6 outs isn't very good anyway, but you might only have 3.
What is the odds, James, of hitting your card over one of the next 2 cards? Do you know offhand?
What?
Of hitting one of the over cards on the next 2 cards. So if you've got ace-king on an underboard. It's about
just hitting
3 to 1 or something, isn't it?
I've just hitting either one of them. Oh yeah, you're about on the next 2 cards.
Yeah.
You've got 6 outs, so you're about 3 to 1 dog in two draws. Just slightly more.
Okay, so I had ace-4 in the button. I folded that. I think the next hand will be interesting. I think I do a few chips in that next hand, but we'll see if it's the one I'm thinking.
7-8 raised up with the 6s.
Yeah, minimum raise. He's not that comfortable with a pair of 6s, but he's decided to do that. King 2 is obviously I'm not going to call with this hand. Contemplated re-raising him, but no.
And Mark here deliberating. Or
Actually,
chatting.
I think I was either chatting or watching you. Yeah.
I'm putting money on chatting, I think. In the chat box, I reckon.
No, it's not this hand. In fact,
You got a pair?
yeah, I actually, what's happened is that, you're right, I was chatting in the last one.
Ah.
And now it's put me on automatic fold. And I haven't realised. So it's put me on automatic fold. I don't realise. I'm about to put a bet in. And of course, it's just folded automatically.
Right, can you give us any advice on this, Mark?
Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention to the game.
Did they ever say this? Must pay more attention?
Absolutely. I was easily distracted, and I still am easily distracted. I think this is the ploy of those guys on the table. They were chatting away to me, trying to distract me, and this is the problem.
Mark, looks like you could do well in this subject, but you must pay more attention.
So, fortunately, I didn't see a 6 on this flop, otherwise I would have been very upset.
You could be doing a double top.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure what 10 bob would have done if I was still in the pot, but had he have checked, I probably would have put out a bet, but we'll never know now. So this is an interesting hand for me. Now, normally I wouldn't play it.
Normally what?
I wouldn't play it because
Right.
of that reason. But I thought, we've got to have a little bit of fun with this hand. Got to show them that I do like my 7-8.
So you're
Never know.
calling Johan's raise with 7-8. Wow.
Now, the flop gives me a little bit of a dilemma. Because, of course, now it's come round to Johan and he's put out a bet. And I'm looking at potentially taking it away from him. I'm thinking, well, if a spade comes, I can take it away from him. Plus, I'm not overly convinced that he's got an ace. And the reason I'm not overly convinced that he's got an ace, because I've seen him play aces just half an hour earlier, and he checked the flop
Right,
with his
so
ace.
you've called there, and you're
Yeah.
hoping to hit a spade or a 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
So you've got your
So he's checked it now.
so you've got your mythical flush draw.
I've got my
basically,
mythical flush draw, or obviously my
or
2
5
pair.
outs.
Yeah. But the thing is, James, also, the other thing as well, is that, as I said, I saw him play an ace high flop before when he's had an ace, and he checked. So I put out about a 3/4 pot size bet, and he's checked, and I've just lost interest now. I think, okay, if he's going to call a bet that size, he must have.
Or even when the spade comes.
Yeah, because I don't think I can get him off the hand. I'm not convinced I can get him off the hand. I think he must have a pretty strong ace for him to call. And I'm not even sure. I think he might even have ace-king. So I decided to let it go in the end.
Well, now I'm confused because you've actually played your mythical flush draw and you've got that flush card come.
I was hoping more it would come on a turn. That was really what I was hoping for. But once I've seen, because I put out a fairly decent bet out on the turn, and he still called me. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure how much fold equity I've got here. I don't know whether he's prepared to fold his hand. And I might even, I had a feeling he had either a very strong ace or even hit 2 pair with his ace.
Okay, I feel that if that was the game plan, I feel you just had to bite the bullet and then go for it myself. I think you tried that story. I think he could well believe that you'd made a bet on the... After he checked it on the turn, you could well have put in a bet on a semi-bluff with a flush draw. And then whack all your chips in the next time, like saying, look, I'm bluffing. I think you might well have put
Well, the problem is if I wanted to play the flush draw and I hit my flush on the end, I figure that I've got to in order for me to get paid, I've got to perhaps bet around 800.
Oh, you did? No, I think you just put all your chips in.
Does that look like a missed flush draw, though? Not missed flush draw. Does it look like a bluff out of flush draw?
That's what he's worried that you're on. He doesn't know what you're on. You have
Yeah.
confused him. I just think he didn't perhaps take advantage.
Yeah.
If you're going to play that, I'm not mad keen. I think there's a lot of chips you've actually invested in this pot. It suddenly became quite expensive, really.
Yeah,
didn't it?
700. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't like the amount of chips you've spent on it. But
Oh, look at it.
if I spent that chips, then I'd have preferred to see you just even go out, die, and even if you die on it, I'd prefer you just say, well, I've tried it this way, and now there's my flush, I've made it. I think there's a good chance you...
Yeah.
Because I'd have to think you had it. I think, what was he... Oh, he's mucking around with a draw, and now he's blooming luckily got it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I might well have put it down. But it still
But
was...
will Johan put it down? You might put it down. Will Johan put it down? That's the
Oh
thing.
yeah, Johan passes.
Yeah.
He passes a lot of hands.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. You see, this is the thing. I wasn't.
When
convinced.
he's not chipped up, he passes
Yeah.
a lot of hands. He protects his tournament life, Johan, early stages.
I was just concerned that he might have hit his 2 pair. That was the thing.
Because he actually slowed down playing just with the 1 pair because he's trying to control the size of the pot. He
Yeah.
doesn't want it to get too big with 1 pair, Johan, which is good.
Yeah. So, Johan, if you're listening in, I'll be interested to hear. Would you have put it down? Do you feel, to if I went all in there? Interesting scenario.
When the spade comes on the river.
Yeah, when that spade came on the river. Is that what you were worried about at the time? Or were you not concerned about that and you didn't think I was on the flush draw? So, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from you, Johan. Let us know.
The other scenario, of course, is when he checks, is it on the turn, is you just check again.
Yeah, that would have been better.
And now you can bet on the river. Now it's very hard for him.
Yeah. The problem,
I think now you really can get him to put it down.
Yeah, if I went that route, absolutely.
I think he has to put it down then.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the route if I would have...
But is the pot too small at that point?
No.
Because there was only another...
No, he's re-raised before the flop, and he's
240. Yeah, it says
and he's bet on the flop.
480. There's 600 in the pot.
Fine.
Will he throw away for 600? You think?
Why do you want to be doing chips?
Yeah.
It looks like, cause also that would fit the storyline better.
Yeah.
Because you'd have checked more likely on the turn with your flush draw, and then hey, and now you can put in a bet where it looks like you want to get paid, and I think he'll just say no way.
Yeah. Well, looks like
Interesting.
Trevor's lost a few chips in this hand.
Yeah.
Doubles 10 Bob Billy with his pair of 9s.
What a name! It's good. 10 Bob Billy, quite tuneful.
Okay, on to the next hand. Well, I've got Ace King.
Got a proper hand here, Mark. Ace King, big slick.
I do actually go through a little spell where I pick up a few nice hands in a row.
Okay, that's handy. Well, you need it now because you've just gone below the 2,000 of it. About 400 below the 2,000.
Yeah.
And sod there's the...
Made a bet there. I'm considering re-raising, but I thought I'd just flat call. Maybe I hit an ace if he's got ace queen and I get a bit more paid. So I decided just to call.
You must be delighted because you've got the King of Hearts as well, which is a nice
Yeah.
card to have in your hand.
I wasn't really thinking about it at this point, to be honest, because I was more concerned of how much I should bet. I was trying to work out what's the optimum. So I thought, well, I'll actually confuse him a little bit by actually taking the lead in the betting, even though he's got the lead in the betting. So rather than check raise, and it's worked
and
quite
he's
nicely.
raised you, yeah.
So it worked because he must be thinking, well, hold on a sec, I've got the lead in the betting. How comes you're now betting out? So he's raised me, and it was a good bet, I think. It did look a bit weird, and of course I'm only going to do one thing here, and that's go all in if you happen to hit 2 pair or something. I was actually meant to go all in there for some reason.
So you got him covered anyway.
Yeah, slide didn't go all the way across.
Okay, well done. You're nice and good shape now.
Yeah. So, I made a little play here actually, and it worked out okay for me. Well, the play didn't, but the end result worked out okay. That I didn't lose any more chips. I made it up to 120, I believe, or 140. 140, I think I made it. And Tragic Trev decides that he's just going to go all in. Fortunately, I caught him with a real hand. There's not many hands he could call me with in that situation. He's only got 1,000 chips left, so you won't want to put in 10% of his stack with nonsense.
No.
So, unfortunately, he caught him with a real hand, so obviously I just lay it down here.
Okay, so you tried something and put it down, but that's fine. You didn't get married to the move, and put it down. So Tragic Trev gets back to 12.75. No hand for Mark this time, and
No, there's been a limp under the gun, so obviously I've lost interest in this hand. Or did I? I actually might have called for because it was on the button. I'm not sure. Can't remember. We shall soon see. Thought maybe I can take it away from these guys. Post flop. I think I've got a feeling I did call actually. I can't remember. Doesn't look good, does it? The fold. Yeah, I think I'm concerned about the guy limping under the gun. Had it been a limp somewhere else, maybe I might have called.
I wouldn't have liked the call there. You've got. I'm not against that many players. Against 4 players with Jack 3, I think.
Jack 3. You don't like Jack 3, James?
I just don't think.
Yeah, no, I'm not playing the hand there. Of course, I'm just going to play position. But you're right. There's too many players.
Too many players. I think
Yeah.
someone could be lumping with strength. You don't know where on earth you are. And I don't know why you. I don't think your risk reward is good there because you just don't know where you are.
Yeah.
And certain people do play very solidly in the early stages anyway. And they've all got a semblance of a hand here, as you can see.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they've all hit, especially 7-8 on tilt. He's hit a very nice hand. He needs to
10 bob
improve
Billy
that.
up and down straight in a flush draw.
Yeah.
He doesn't know there's an over flush draw there. His hand's very nice, 10 bob Billy. And Johan, of course, has got the pair.
And he's got the actual made hands. He's in the lead at the moment, James, isn't he, Johan?
Yeah. 7-8 on tilt's got a pair as well. There's his flush draw. Of course, the flush is not so easy to get because there's so many clubs out there. We can see 7 clubs in front of us. Only 6 more floating around.
Well, Johan's saying that he's got that 10, isn't he? And he's trying to not give them odds. They've got now 3-1. Is that enough for 7-8 on tilt to call, James? He's got 400 out.
400. He's got to think, will he get paid another 400 if he hits it? Basically.
Yeah. Well, 10
Also,
bob.
I'm not certain that you'd be particularly... I don't think he's got particularly enough chips to be calling off when you're more than 4-1 against.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it mightn't be the nut hand anyway, because Johan might have a bigger flush draw. So you can't presume you've got the nut flush, not when you've got only an 8 high flush. You could be up against a higher flush.
True.
So it isn't a surefire win. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
So
more
gonna
tempted with the ace.
So so now you've got to put... Yeah, if you knew where you were and say, oh, this is a surefire win, now you can think more about it. But as soon as there's a doubt on whether it's even the winner, it's not like you're 4-1. You can say it's like you're 6-1 or because there's times there you're actually going to lose your chips by hitting, which is a nightmare. So you've got to take that off the overall... When you play this out 100 times, 1,000 times, you've got to take these situations off the winning ones. And that really waters down your winnings a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to think about in all hands. We've got to think... We can't just say, oh, yes, if I hit this, I'll win. People tend to think that too
But that's
sloppily.
not the truth, is it? That's not the truth.
No, and also they think, oh, yes, I've got 9 outs. Well, think again, what's he in there with and what's he there? Let's try and work this out a bit. And is this definitely going to win? So you've got to really water down the outs a lot of times. What people do is they tend to sort of go to the higher end of the outs to sort of justify the call they're making. When they're doing that, it means generally they're making bad calls and they're trying to find a justification for it.
Well, I've been raising quite with... I think this is the first time I've actually limped in with something.
I quite like this.
Yep, so I've decided to limp in.
With that hand especially, because I don't mind putting it down if anyone raises me, because I don't care. And there's a chance that you might just take position by limping. And you haven't been limping so much, so it could be a limp with strength, trying to trick them. So I think it's good. And middle pin straight draw needed for Sod, and but 3 diamonds there. But Mark needs a middle pin for his. Ooh, and that diamond. Both people nervous now.
Well, that's what you think, James. I like the diamond.
Sod is now checked. Mark says he's going to represent that he's got a diamond. Let's see how much he bets.
100. I put out 100 to try and say, like, this is a milky bet.
And I like the size of the bet, actually.
So he's got us made straight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, he's checked. I know because he's checked, he hasn't got a big hand. I can put him to a test for all his chips, which is what I do.
And there's a big, big question.
Yeah, without a diamond in his hand, I don't think he can call. With that decent diamond. It's got to be a diamond that's over, well, it's got to be over 9, I guess.
The hand he's got is like
10.
he's got the 2 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Same thing, isn't it?
Well, that's what I thought. I actually thought he had a small diamond in his hand.
Right.
So I thought he was prepared to call the 100, but I don't think he's going to prepare to risk all his life on it.
Well read by Mark there, and he...
Yeah, that was my actual thing. I didn't put him on a straight, of course. I actually put him on a small diamond, a low diamond.
No, you didn't put him on the straight, but you read the situation well. And That was difficult because the difficult thing there was that Sod didn't have so many chips.
Mm.
And
It was his tournament life. That's
Yeah.
what I was testing.
Right, but I'm saying, but he didn't. Yeah, but his life is. He probably wasn't thinking his life was wonderful anyway.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the slight worry that he might just say, "Oh, go on then."
Yeah.
That would be my one little worry, because normally, you know, when we talk about stealing blinds or whatever, we say, you know, the ones with small chips, the ones with big chips are difficult. It's the ones in the middle who are more or less say, "Oh, that'll hurt me. I'm happy as I am." They're
Yeah.
more likely to be easier targets.
Yeah.
The small chips always worry you a bit.
Yeah.
In case the guy say, "Oh, go on, I don't care." Oh, I've only got this many. Let me see what you got anyway. So that would be my one worry. But anyway, you read it well, so no argument there. You got the chips. So well read. And 10 Bob Billy. Is he contemplating or? He is contemplating, and he's decided what's even more the case. And he's made it 3 times a big blind, 240, and he takes down 120 chips.
So I think I get a walk here if I remember correctly.
Well, I wouldn't complain of that with a pair of 4s. It'd
No,
be
no,
very nice
absolutely.
too.
I think Sod thinks about it, decides not to. Cam Star. No. So yeah, I did get a nice little walk there. So I'm quite happy with a pair of 4s. Didn't really want to be forced to play them.
And 7-8's got a King Kong under the gun. How's he going to play it? Small raise, 160. 10 Bob Billy.
Now I decide to re-raise here.
I know you're teasing.
On to the next hand we go. Pair of 5s.
Limps.
Yeah, I think because there's a limper in there, I think I choose to limp, if I remember correctly, with the 8-10. Do I? Can't remember, to be perfectly frank.
We'll find out.
We'll soon find out. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I've got the button, and
And look at
oh,
that.
he's flopped it.
Flopped the straight. 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. What a hand.
Now, this is interesting because what happens is that they both check round to me, and I think, okay, well, I've got 2 overcards and a gut shot. Now, he's bet it, and I'm not convinced that he really likes that flop. I actually think he's got a pair of 4s or something like that. So I think, now, what happens is I get priced in a little bit here because 7-8 on tilt doubles. So I've now put him on a... at this point, I've actually thought of him that he's got a set.
Right, there's 1480 in the middle, and you've got to put 240 in.
Yeah, so I've decided to put in 240 to
So
see hit
you're
a
getting
9.
6 to 1.
Yeah, and this doesn't help very much. So basically, I've decided that if I hit my 9, that I'm going to knock one of these players out. And that was really what was my thinking. I don't think they'll put down their hand, because I think 7-8 on tilt. Now I've realised that because I've just realised he's on the big blind, I think he must have 4-5, or he's got a set. More than likely he's got 4-5, especially the little raise, the minimum raise that he's done. So it hasn't worked out. I don't try and put any money behind this. 7-8 on tilt puts a little value bet in, and of course I'm out of here. I do think about it for a moment, just trying to work out in my own mind what he'd be making this bet with, and then just put it down.
My only worry, if you were playing this hand in a tournament where you were deeper stacked,
Yeah,
I would like it.
you would or you wouldn't?
I'd like it, yeah.
Right.
But I just don't think, I just think again that was quite expensive what you did there. And I'm not certain I think it was just quite a percentage of your stack. I could see the storyline, I could see what you're looking for. As I said, if you're in a deeper stack tournament, I like the play because I think I can see you, and it's just not just a percentage of your stack. That's
Yeah.
what, and I just worry that that's a bit, to me that feels just a bit expensive.
Yeah,
That was a
I felt
luxury.
I had big implied odds. That was a thing.
Yeah, well, you really need them, and because you're well short of the odds on the draw anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely, of course.
So you need implied odds just to catch up.
Yeah,
And playing really long shots, I just don't think you have enough time, enough chips to play long shots.
Yeah.
I think you, with the amount of chips you had there, was...
Here, James, just have a look at this hand.
Okay.
I see Sods is in trouble chip-wise, so I decided to have a pop at his stack.
Okay.
Now, he decides to go all in.
Don't blame him.
And I'm thinking, well, he knows I'm an aggressive player, he might do it with anything, but at the same token, he might have something like ace-king, and I'm thinking, well, there's 940 in the pot, there's another 540 for me to call. I think my odds are about 6 to 4, so I decided to call. So I was getting just short of 2 to 1. Not a great call really with Jack 5, but well, obviously he's got a pair that I'm in serious trouble. But and he hits a.
Oh, he hits the flush.
He hits it, yeah. So that's the end of that. In fact, that ace queen of clubs came out I think at least 2 or 3 times, and it actually hit the flush all 3 times or twice. Yeah, so that was interesting. I had it later on as well, at least twice, if not 3 times. So this looks like I've made this play here quite quickly because it makes it look like I'm a little bit on tilt from losing those chips.
Yes.
So I've made a play here. I've just made it 3 times, and I'm fortunate that Sods has got a hand here because I think that he's probably read it for a similar situation. Mark's lost a few chips. He wants to try and get them back, so he's come out firing.
Yeah.
Typical sort of play that I might make, I guess, or people on tilt might make. So he decides to go over the top. And of course he doesn't want to see a flop, so he puts in a lot of chips. He's now committed to the pot, so he feels anyway.
You push the rest of yours in quite correctly. Queens against 9s, none on the flop, so you're in great shape. Just don't want to see a 9. You don't. 2 pairs, kings and queens, and Mark's back in business, 2,830.
Yep, so that's worked out nice. I have hit a few hands. That was one of them. This not being one, of course. 5-2.
Morrison's got a hand though. He's got big slicks suited in the small blind.
Well, surprisingly, he didn't make a move there with his king 6 on the button, Sods. I mean, he's lucky he didn't, because Morrison has got a big hand here. Well, 7-9, Canstar wants to have a little play. Now, difficult, isn't it, being in that first position with ace-king and you've missed totally.
It is, and he's...
put half a pot bet, roughly, just
putting
under.
the continuation bet, and Campstar has missed anyway and decides not to guess. Also had a hand which was probably hard to beat a bluff with, so that was his other problem. Mark, 8-10 under the gun.
Well, I'm not going to be playing this. I think I was chatting in the box. Now, I was chatting in the box, and once again, James...
No.
It puts me on auto-fold, and I haven't noticed at this point. So,
but it's going to be your blind next, though.
Yeah. But, of course, if someone bets, I'm not sure what it does on auto-fold. Does it just check?
If they raise, it gives you...
It'll fold?
No. If
It's on auto-fold, though.
No, it's...
It thinks I'm away from the table.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No.
It is on auto-fold. But fortunately, I spot it just about here.
Oh.
So I quickly turn it off, which was lucky because Morrison had the Queen 10. So
Johan's call with 4-5.
Yeah.
Now what's Mark going to do?
Well, I've got 2 players in there. I don't want to scare them off completely by going all in. So I think I'd boost it up to another 900 or so.
Well, it's quite a chunky bet.
Yeah, about 4 times. But I've got 2 players I'm up against. And it might look like a squeeze play. I think Johan thinks quite a while. He almost times out while he's thinking what to do. Is that too big, you think, James?
A tad.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay if you can see they've got Queen 10. I'm just worried that they've got like Ace 5 or something. And
yeah, it's not terrible. I mean, it's no, it's not. I mean, it's just, I don't know. If you wanted to have a bit of opposition, I think you wanted to get heads up against one person, didn't you?
Yeah. I would have preferred that, yeah.
Yeah. If that was your aim, I think maybe I'd have perhaps lowered a bit, made it a bit more appealing.
Yeah.
But still, it's not a bad result for you. Look at you, you're really back in shape now.
Yeah, I've had two or three nice hands in a row.
You've actually gone to chip leader.
Yeah, chip leader by 20 chips.
So you've been all round the houses, up and down. The bit I was trying to finish off before was, I just think because you'd already had more than your starting stack, I don't quite know why you had to be going down this really difficult route, where I think you could have been quite a menace in simpler situations than that.
Yeah.
And I just think your chips would have been better used for that. I think you'd have been quite a menace with raises, rather than you being a calling situation and trying to in and out the trees. A very difficult situation there. You know, you could try that a lot of times and never succeed. That's what worries me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just think because once you get a few chips, I think I could see you using them better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a valid point.
So that would be my that's my worry about it. As I said, if I was watching in a deep stack tournament, early stages, I don't mind you mucking around with a hand like that because you can afford to.
Yeah.
And I think it's all down to how much play you've got. And I don't think in a sit and go you can be particularly looking for such long shots, I think.
Yeah. I was pretty convinced that Morrison had a small pair, like the four. I mean, he actually had fives. I actually put him on fours, is what I really thought he was on. And he was trying to blast the pot because it didn't look. It didn't look. But then when 7-8 on tilt called, or in fact he didn't call, he actually put a minimum raise. Then I was aware that 7-8 on tilt has hit this flop nicely somehow.
Okay, Mark's got a pair of fives, and he's big raise this time.
No, just less than 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been big. I mean, the blinds are up as well, though, so it's quite a chunky bet, 460. But you've got more chips now anyway. You've got 2 pairs, and so's Tragic Trev. But his are only 2s and 7s. Yours are 5s and 7s, and full house for Mark. 3 7s, 2 5s. Full house for Trev. 3 7s, 2 2s, and it's bye-bye Tragic Trev. First player out.
Yeah. And it was quite worrying, actually, James, because I don't know what he was up to there, but Tragic Trev was playing in his underpants, apparently. Not a sight.
Not a pretty sight.
So I kept on telling him to put some clothes on, but he wouldn't listen.
It could have been worse.
So we'll...
Actually, I thought he was playing in his underpants, funny enough. I could see he kept on jockeying for position.
Oh, look, it's worked out nicely for him. Oh, dear. And 10 Bob has got pretty lucky there. Oh, James, jockeying for position.
Seven, 8 on tilt. Aqua. And Mark's good chip leader now, 4,250. But he's got Johan, of course, breathing down his neck. Johan's been very quiet.
He has, yeah. He has been a little bit quiet. I think it's a little bit hard for him having me on his left because he's got to watch what he does a little bit, in as much that he knows I'm a little bit of a loosey-goosey.
Morrison. A7, very loosey-goosey here.
Yeah.
And it looks like bye-bye Morrison. No spade, there's a spade in 7-8 hand, in fact.
Yeah, so...
And there we go, pair of queens, and 2 pairs rather, queens and 10s with an ace. Morrison, no pair, and bye-bye. Well, run into big problems there.
Yeah, I upset Johan on this hand, as we'll see. Interestingly enough, Sods does make the move now with King 6.
And I don't think that's terrible because he's got a king, his time is running out, he's only got that many chips. He mightn't get better than that.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, I don't know what... Johan made it sound like he had a much better hand than he did. He hit the... he made it sound like he had a much better hand on the flop, but he didn't. He only had one bottom pair.
Yeah, he had 2 pair on the river.
Yeah. So I put out a little bet.
When he called you?
Yeah, with 2 pair, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think I'd get any more out of him.
As it happens, you would have done.
I would have done, yeah. Yeah. He thought I should have checked it. But as there was no equity in checking, no benefit of that player going out to my pocket.
10 Bob Billy makes it 540. Well, Mark's not going to have anything to do with that.
No.
And
10-4.
neither is 7-8 on tilt.
I'm probably typing away something here. Okay, we're going to leave it there. I'm on the button, so we'll come back to that and see how those hands play out. I've got a couple of emails, James.
Okay, good.
Okay, are you ready? This one is from Dan, and Dan is saying, "Hi guys, just been playing on the 50-cent $1 TV table and picked up queens in mid-position. The first person raised to $4. I just called. The small blind then re-raises to 7, and under the gun just calls. I then see the opportunity to re-raise another for 15. Small blind folds and under the gun calls. The flop comes Queen, Jack, 10. Okay. He checks. I bet 20 into a $40 pot. He then re-raises the rest of his chips around 45. At this point, I realise I am behind, but call for another 45. Was I getting the right odds, improving to a full house or 4 of a kind?" Okay.
Let's just go through the maths of this, because it's interesting to see, because on the flop there, he's about 2 to 1 to make his house. So can we rerun the money, because this is useful for people?
So he's betting 20 into a $40 pot, so that makes 60 into the pot.
Yes.
The guy makes it, obviously calls and raises, so he makes it 80, 125. So there's 125 into the pot, 45 into 125.
Sorry, no, he's called the 20, and then he's raised how much?
Another 45.
Another 45. So therefore, there is, as you said, 125 in the pot, and he's calling for 45. Yes, you were right to call.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 to 1 is what you need.
And you were getting over 2 to 1 your money. You were getting 45 into 125. So you're getting not too far off 3 to 1, really.
Yeah, so definitely. If and you might not have been behind as well as that, so that's even more equity.
Exactly, and that's a great point. You think he's got the straight, it looks like it, and a lot of times he will have, but it might be Mark. He might be pretending he's got it.
What do you mean, me? Don't you pretend you've got things? I think James is trying to say that I pretend a little more than you do.
Well, you maybe do, but the thing is, of course, I will pretend as well, of course, and hopefully a lot of times they just haven't even noticed it, because they'll think, I don't do it so often, so therefore they will. They just don't see it too often, hopefully. Yeah. The
odds you need to improve to a full house or 4 of 5
That was a good
is
point,
2 to
the
1.
fact that they haven't. That was a great point. I liked Mark's thinking there, because that's something I was trying to touch on earlier, Mark, when I was saying about, we just touched on about 20 minutes ago, I said people think they've got more outs than they have. They think, oh, if I hit this, I'll win. They think 100%. No, it's not. None of these... Listen, we're not that clever. We aren't mind readers. We don't know 100%. We're trying to get positions and field positions. And Mark says exactly, yes, it looks like a straight. Yes, most of the time it will be. But some of the time he says it won't be. And that makes you call even better. Yeah. So therefore, you could even call, if you were just getting exactly the 2 to 1, you'd probably have value the times he hasn't got anything.
Yeah, very good point. OK, so we've hoped you've enjoyed the show so far. We've got another segment to come, 1 hour's time. So anyway, not 1 hour's time, in 10 minutes' time. Don't go too far away. We're going to be right back. Gary Wise from today's phone-in. You heard him earlier, and here he is again. Are you with us, Gary?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's getting a bit late now, but we're still in there.
We're still alive and kicking. Gary, unfortunately, that's a bit of a sick joke, isn't it, really? We've really lost a really massive character in the poker world, haven't we?
Yeah, unfortunately, about 2 months ago, on April 12th, Puggy Pearson passed away.
Yeah, that's right. He was a big character. He was the guy who used to go around with his own mobile home, didn't he?
Yeah, Puggy had a van that had on the side. This is a very American thing. He had this mobile home that had on the side, I will play any man, any game that I can play for any amount. And he was, and underneath in small lettering, provided I like the game. So he's kind of a classical old school gambler.
A grifter.
Sorry, go ahead.
A grifter.
A grifter, a rounder, any way you want to put it. Puggy came from a different time, a time where, when you were playing poker, you were there to win and win only, and, there was no, honor wasn't really a big part of it. Like Puggy had a favorite trick where he would stack up 20 chips and he'd push them to the middle with his hand over the top, and he would palm a chip off the top every time. And he was known to say, I paid for a car with that trick. These weren't the nicest guys in the world. I'm sure they could be fun to hang out with. But I'm glad that I'm reading about them instead of trying to play against them. Put it that way.
Oh, do you know how to do that trick, James?
No, I haven't tried that one. I wouldn't dare.
Sounds like an interesting
Tell
one.
us, Gary, tell us a story about Puggy and Amarillo Slim.
Okay, well, quick background of Puggy. Puggy was a Tennessee kid, came from very poor beginnings, and he grew up and he became one of the best poker players in Vegas. He won the World Series in 1973. The reason that was such a big deal to him was because of what happened in 1972. In 72, he, Amarillo Slim, and Doyle Brunson were the final three players in the tournament. Now, at the time, poker wasn't quite as acceptable as it is now, and so Doyle was worried that there would be problems with the family, who was very religious, and so he decided he wanted to bow out. Slim wanted to win the tournament, to have the title, and Puggy didn't want the tax problems of winning the tournament, so they agreed to throw the tournament to Slim. Doyle dropped out, Puggy started playing with Slim, and then when they would get down to the river, Puggy would fold what he knew was the losing hand, and then Slim, despite this wonderful gift that Puggy had given him, he would show his bluff to the audience, and he'd start boasting about how great a player he was and how he was outplaying Puggy, which of course upset Puggy a little bit, though maybe not as much as seeing Slim be the first champion ever to go on talk shows and stuff like that did. I think Puggy was a little bitter that Slim got to go on Johnny Carson, like a big American talk show and stuff like that. So, Slim really milked the spotlight. I think Puggy only realized what he'd given up after the fact.
Oh. Yeah.
But he got his revenge the next year.
Well, it sounds like quite a character, especially the game was very different in those days, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, the whole attitude towards fair play and cheating was completely different. You hear these great old stories of these old gamblers who would go golfing and playing for $100,000, and they each have three henchmen running around the course trying to fix the cups in their favor, kind of thing. And stomping one another's handiwork out as fast as they possibly could. Now the thing is, if any of these guys ever got caught cheating, the attitude was generally, well, you caught cheating, you lose, but you're welcome to come back tomorrow because you still have money for me to win.
Yeah, I heard a great story about Puggy Pearson, and I think it was Doyle Brunson who said that he would have, if he had to have someone to try and sink a 10-foot putt, anyone in the world, he would choose Puggy Pearson above all the pros, because he said he was the man. When he played golf and he needed to get the 10-foot putt, he'd make it.
When you say the pros, we're not talking just pro poker players. He meant pro golfers too.
Yeah, I know that.
Puggy was a scratch golfer, and he apparently was as good on a green as anybody that Doyle had ever seen. And Doyle has seen a few people play golf. Sorry. He apparently took $500,000 off of Daniel Negreanu on the golf course this week.
Wow.
So, I think Daniel's paying for a few.
On that note, Gary, I'm going to have to cut you short because we're just about coming to an end. But thanks very much for your chat this evening. That was Gary Wise from Wise Hand Poker. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Banin, and James Browning. Now, just before we left you, we were witnessing my tournament that I took part in earlier, so I think it's time we head back there. I was on the button. Let's see if I'm still on the button.
Ace 9, I think you had. Oops, changed.
I've missed one hand. Okay, so we've just missed a hand I was on. Ace 9, I think I won that one, actually. I think I raised and no one called or something. So
we're down to 5 players here anyway, and Mark's still chip leader at the moment. He's got Queen Jack and decides to crank up the volume. He's made it 400, blinds at 81.60, and 7-8 on tilt has got an ace. But he puts it down, and I don't think either of these hands are going to call. It looks like Mark's going to get another 240 stack. He does.
Yep, so far so good.
This is going along sweetly at the moment now.
Yeah, I've got ace 3. I think I just fold it at this point. I've been raising quite a bit.
And pair of 4s, that's the question. And the blinds have just gone up, actually, to 163.20. So this is significant. It's 480 around. And 320 with 320 is a good enough to say I'm raising. And your hand didn't want to know. And
no. I came very close to calling Cam here. I won't say very close. I thought about it because I thought he didn't have much of a hand. Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't this hand. It was another hand. It wasn't this one.
oh my goodness, it's a flush for Camstar there.
Yeah, although he was winning anyway, wasn't he, with the queen?
Yeah.
So, but just rub it in a little bit for Johan. So, unfortunately for Johan, you do need to win those hands, don't you? Don't you? He's in a good position there. He thought his King Jack was in the lead, and it was. It was well in the lead.
Mark decided to let that one go.
Yeah.
And 7-8 on tilt is taking the lead now. And not much around here.
No, I don't have any interest in this hand. 4-2 offsuit. Even on the button. Well, I'm tempted, but I think I let it go. Can't remember. Let's have a look. Yes, I did.
You do let it go. Wow, imagination from a 7-8. He's chip leader, he's flexing his muscles, and it looks like he's captured.
Yeah. Well, this is a very interesting scenario. I'll ask you to remember this one, James. 7-5 was raised on the button, and from a small blind, Team Bob gave it up. Gave up his Queen 10. So just remember that hand. That's interesting. I'll tell you why a bit later.
10 Bob Billy, he's on the button. It's only 5-handed now. This is an exception for King Queen now. I would be raising. Johan's really gone quite low now and he knows it. He's only got 2 rounds to play. So we're going to be seeing something from him very soon, but probably not with this. Except if he passes round to him, he probably will push all in. Yeah, I think he might push all in now. He does. Yes, I think it's the right play.
Yeah,
It's hard for Mark, I think.
I came a whisker within calling him. I actually typed in the chat box, in fact, that I think I've got you. Because I didn't think he had, I don't know what, there was something about it that he didn't have such a strong hand. Unfortunately, he had a slightly stronger hand than me, but it probably would have ended up in a split pot. But it timed out in the end. So now, if I remember correctly, I think I forgot to turn off the auto check, so I hope I didn't have much of a hand here. Okay.
Now, Mark, I'm a bit disappointed with your button tonight.
Well, they keep talking to me. No, I did fold here anyway. Yeah. Cam start with a peck at 5s, can't call with my Queen 6.
Yes, I just sort of test that out. The Queen 5 against the Queen 3 would have been a tie 43% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the Queen 5 would have won 34% of the time.
Uh-huh.
And you'd have won 22% of the time.
Okay.
But what that means, of course, is that 65% of the time you'd have either won or split.
Right. So, King 6 against the 7s. 7s have said, well, I'm only losing to a jack. Have you got a jack? And you see, that's the problem. Camstar played it weakly. Now Team Bob says, yes, I have. And he's going to have a 2700. And he's taken Made a big bet here. I don't think Kamsar can call this. He can certainly he'll raise all in or nothing, and he does. He does actually fold in the end.
Well, Johan will like this, I'm sure.
He will. I'm pretty comfortable with this hand. I know he's desperate to make a move.
Got a pair of 8s.
The only thing that took me a long time here is to decide whether to raise or just call. I decided the bet was big enough so I can just call. I was just a bit worried that...
Really?
Yeah, well, I don't want to raise and someone's got a big hand behind me.
Can you put this down?
I think if someone wants to re-raise, yeah. Not Kamstar, but if Teen Bob or 7 on tilt raise.
Right.
I'm not saying I would put it down, but I'm saying it gives me at least an option
of
putting it down.
Anyway,
I think the bet is big enough. But so it puts me back into the chip lead, now full position.
I think I'd have had to just commit my chips, possibly. I don't want to be...
Yeah.
I think I'd want to keep them... I don't want them to limp along with me either, particularly.
Yeah, so this is an interesting play. He's made it 6-40, and I've just gone all in, and he's actually called here, which was a bit of a strange play. Unfortunately,
can we just go back to this one?
Yeah, he's
see if we can go
he's
back
made
to
it
this
640. He's doubled it basically. He had about 2,000.
Right, here we are. So the betting was what, Mark?
He's made it 640.
Yeah.
I've re-raised all in.
Yeah.
He's got another 1,300 or so behind him, I believe, and he's called.
Yeah, it's tough to put it down, isn't it? 640, 640, 1280.
Yeah, but it's tournament life, and he's on the bubble.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's just about pot committed, I would think.
Yeah. So this is the.
So you're unlucky there, though.
Yeah. So this is what happened here, James.
You're very unlucky. That was a key hand for you, just to.
Yeah. Now this is the interesting hand. He's got Queen 10 again, 10 Bob, the one I mentioned a moment ago.
Right.
Now what he hasn't realised is that I put in 1920. I've only got 1,700 back. I have no fold equity really anymore. And he's not taken that into consideration. He's just come over the top, and I decided, well, I can't fold. I've got 1,700. You know, blind's about to hit me. I've got to call.
Well, you've hit your 8.
I've hit the 8, unfortunately.
Looks quite good. Oh, Queen of the River.
Yeah.
I'd have preferred you to push your chips.
I should have. That was a mistake, yeah. I should have basically taken that option away from him.
You should have taken that option away, don't you? Because it leaves a window there for him to think he can do it. You're very happy to take the chips. There's enough in the middle.
Yeah. It was a mistake, absolutely. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Yeah. No, I'm honest to admit that was a mistake. My move should have been
I think I was just
all in.
a little case of just trying to be too cute.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to overplay, trying to be too cute. And we've talked about that before, and I think it is something that we make mistakes with. We sometimes overplay a hand, we try to be a bit too cute with it, and often the simpler option is better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That should have been an all-in move, and that was it, really. That was a mistake.
There's something called Occam's razor, and that is actually basically the simple plan is best.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There's the ace-queen of clubs again. We mentioned that I saw a moment ago.
Oh, right, yes, again.
And it does make a flush again.
Oh, again, it makes a flush.
Yeah. So...
you actually hit a queen on the river.
Yeah, that's not much good. So...
Well, actually... What this did do, actually, it did bring up an awful lot of interesting situations, funny enough.
There were, yeah, there was. We had the situation with the 820 with Dodds, when I felt he couldn't check there on the end without a decent hand, with a good hand, and he couldn't, so I bet it out, but yeah. So yeah, there was lots of different situations. A Jack 8. Like you said, a simpler move there at the end was an all-in. I knew that at the time.
Yeah.
Some people believe that there's fold equity when they don't really look at it properly,
That's right.
and he believed that there was, and there wasn't. But so yeah, that was my mistake really. I should have taken away. And so yeah, there was lots of interesting situations. I got a bit lucky with some hands earlier.
Yeah, but you read some well.
Yeah.
I mean, you read that situation well with the flush. You bet the guy.
Yeah.
Off with the possible flush on board. He got him to pass a straight. I mean, that was powerful. Pair of kings here for 10 Bob Billy. He's got 9,000 chips now. 25.60, Camstar, pair of sevens. Lucky sevens, no less. Very lucky, just taking 9.60.
Oh, you'll like this as well. Oh, he's folded. I think that could be because he just won that pot. He doesn't want to give them away so quick. Unfortunately, he's going to be putting in 1,000 of his chips in, in the next two hands.
Yep.
So that's the only problem.
And I think three-handed.
Yeah.
I would have had to go myself.
Well, he's not going to throw this one away 7-8 on tilt. He knows he needs 1,000 chips. And
Yep.
10 bob can't call.
Could
And
be
not
right.
can start. So he gets those 1,000, and Camstar's the one who's in trouble now. Oh dear.
And look at these hands he's picked up. You see that ace looks like a monster now, doesn't it? When we've seen these following hands, 4, 5, 2,
He could have done
3.
with that 1,000, couldn't he, James?
Whoa. But he hasn't had a hand that was resembled that hand.
Yeah.
And it's three-handed. It's a good chance. If you've got an ace, it's unlikely your opponent's got an ace.
Well, look, 10 bob being a little bit cheeky, racing with a 7-8. He's not going to get 7-8 on tilt to fold this. And I think he's just going to go all in. If he's got an ace, that's just bad luck. It's a good chance now he hasn't. And incidentally, James, do you think the play, I suppose it was, wasn't it? It was only a pair of tens at the end of the day. It was the right play to actually bet there. He's worried about the jack, queen or king appearing.
I think time's run out. There's not much to...
Yeah.
He can't do much now. He's just...
He doesn't really want the guy to bluff at it with a jack, king or queen and then it hits and ruins his tournament, yeah. Well, that's worked out nice for Camstar so far.
Full house.
Full house. Can still lose this though, and he doesn't. So Camstar doubles through, puts him up to 48 and pretty much equals everything. Team Bob has a small chip lead now.
Small chip lead, but quite a good hand.
Yeah, he won't be playing this one softly. He needs to try and get back his chips, and I'm sure he'll just be pushing in here. He does.
24.20, interesting price.
Yeah, Camstar's wondering whether his king-9 is any good here. He can probably afford to throw this away, I guess, because he's still got some chips, but what do you think? Throw it away, James?
I think I probably do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I probably do too. I wouldn't be throwing this away. Unfortunately, he's going to get a look up, I guess. Yeah, see, he's done what I did, basically, the same mistake. Now, whether 7-8 on tilt will call. Oh, look at that.
Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
all the money was going to go in here. Well, that's unfortunate for Camstar, unless he needs to hit a jack. Oh, I spoke too soon. And still, now the redraw is on for... Oh, no, he's got a house, that's it. He needs a king.
Well, king, we'll give him a bigger house.
Only a king, and he thinks, oh, this is lovely.
No, not only a king, a jack.
A jack will split, yeah.
Yeah, a jack would split it.
Yeah, but it's not to appear. And he says, and 7-8 on tilt, thought he was slow playing it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He thought, well, I've got a beautiful hand here.
He was slow playing it, but he got cooked by...
Yeah, very unfortunate there, 7-8 on tilt, nothing can be done. The only thing I might have done is just go all in pre-flop. Well, 8-3 against 8-4, and they're both... Oh, is that...
6-4.
Oh, 6-4, sorry.
Yeah.
Thought what was going on there. Okay. 6-4. Misread that one.
And the small blind's got 8-9. You could... he just limped. Well, 10 Bob Billy's not going to put up with that, I don't think.
No. No, he's going to push in, isn't he? Yeah, he does.
And Camstar's going to pass.
Well, not too much harm done. He only wasted 6.40 in that one, I guess.
But 6.40 is quite significant, isn't it? You've got to be really thinking. I don't think there's too much room for limping, to tell the truth. Only if you know you're against a passive opponent.
He's done it, James. 10 Bob has done it, and Camstar's going to say, so I'm not letting you limp. Yeah.
So we've now just seen 12.80 just frittered away.
Yeah, although he was in there ready for 6.40, so I think another 6.40.
No, the 6.40 this hand, 6.40
I
the
see
other
what you
guy.
mean.
We've just seen two instances of 6.40 being wasted. Well, it's quite a significant amount of chips.
It is.
I don't think you can afford to waste them at this stage. I think you're either passing or raising in those small blind situations.
He's left him that window, James. This is the same window that we were talking about a moment ago, and he's come over the top. Now, he's not going to feel comfortable at calling of ace-4, but he knows he has to.
And he's hit the 4.
He's hit the 4, so it doesn't really change anything. He still needs to... King or a 9? No. So we have a winner.
And Camstar is the winner. 10 Bob Billy played a pretty good game, came second. An interesting sit and go.
It was interesting.
Yeah, we had quite a few topics we got from that. Latter stages, blind 640, 1280. Think carefully before you make up a small blind if your opponent is of the type who's likely to raise, because it's a lot of money to waste.
Okay. Well, we've got some emails, James. I don't know if we've got time for emails or whether we should go straight to our MTT. Let's have a look. Do we have time for emails?
We'll have one, come on.
Yeah, okay, we've got one from Dave. Dave is saying, "Hi guys, great to see my A-list presenters together on my favourite poker show. Big up to the both of you." Thanks very much for that, Dave.
This made you a huge favour to be read out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll get a good answer too because of that. My question is as follows. Having reached, I believe, an above average standard at the $5 tables and now the $10 sit and goes, my problem at present is consistency. Yes, we wish we all had that. Lots of laughs. Variance. I understand is a major factor for all of us. So having my kings beaten by ace-queen suited, offsuit, runner, straight flush is actually not that painful as it may be had to happen sometime. So that's life. Good for him. One day I may be on the right side of such good fortune. But talking on a basis of making money consistently, which one does need to do so to maintain a decent level of interest to eventually progress onto bigger and better things? You understand I have no illusions with regard to turning pro. But what I want to make best use of the talent I really believe I have. Do you have any routine that gets you in the winning frame of mind on a daily basis? Best regards to you both and all contributing viewers. What's your winning routine, James?
I think if you're going to play poker seriously, if I've got time and I'm back there, I'd like to actually, before I go out to play, I like to do some sort of exercise, even if it's only half an hour or whatever. Maybe go for a ride on the bike or use a cross trainer and the rowing machine, or if I've got time, I'd love to go and have a game of tennis. But I think I like to exercise before I go and play, get your circulation going, you feel good, and then it doesn't feel so bad sitting down playing poker for quite a long time because you've been running around. I don't think, personally, I don't drink when I'm playing. I don't think you should drink when you're playing. I like to keep a clear head when I'm playing, especially if I'm playing cash games. I want to.
So clear head is important for you.
I think so. For me, I think it's important.
I agree.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I like the thing about the gym that James mentioned. I think it's important to stay fit, and the reason he's saying that is not because he wants to. The chips become heavy in James's case, so he has to lift them up quite often. It's mainly because obviously what you don't want to do is to the back end of the evening get tired. So that helps maintain you at a certain level.
Actually, Mark and I were just having a friendly chat just the other day, and I was telling him about a money session. And it was one where I'd started off well, but then fell behind, and it was a little bit behind. And it was a long session, and I was still playing strong at the end of the session. And as it happened, I got rewarded by winning a nice pot at the end of the session, walked out a reasonably good winner. But I think that I was talking to Mark, I said, I imagined a lot of people could have panicked with the sort of lack of hands and wasted money, but at least I didn't, and I was quite pleased with the session because I was there able to use my chips when it came, and it came with a late run on the rails, basically. It was a racing turn. But I think if you've got the stamina, it's very important for playing poker.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so stamina's the one thing. My one is very simple. Basically, make sure you get enough sleep before a big tournament, and you don't want to be tired for the same reasons. And obviously, the one thing I always do is after you play a certain game, analyse, go back and play your mind. Make sure you could have done everything you could possibly do to win that tournament. I made a mistake there with the Jack 8. I should have gone all in. That was my mistake, I felt. I might have made some smaller ones along the line, but that was the main thing I remember. Don't give people an opportunity. And Nick did the same problem in our Beat the Presenter, in our Poker Bowl.
Yeah.
He left me an opportunity to go over the top of him, absolutely no hand, and I did, and he had to fold. So there you are. Anyway, time to go to our multi-table tourney. So let's head over there and see what's been going on. Right, well, James, we've joined it with only 4 players remaining. So, be interesting to see what happens here. Let's see. Well, to give you some ideas of what's happened, there were 73 entrants into this tournament. It was a $10 tournament. Just see what happens here, because we've got an all-in from Lee, and that's going to work well for him. He's made a full house there against queens, ace-king against queens, and Lee's up to 112,000. Wow. So, 73 runners. It was a rebuy tournament, one rebuy, one odd allowed. We're down to the final four, as you can see. 10th place received $20, all the way up to first place, which receives $414. Next one out will actually get $131, so that's what they're playing for at the moment. Some noticeable names that you might like to hear. Morrison, 24, who we just saw in the sit and go, came 19th. Gullo 1 came 16th. Buffy Be Good, regular on the show, came 15th. Sharky, 2007, came 12th. 24 Ginger was the first one to go out on the money side. He actually came 10th with $20.70. Win AK came 9th, $41. Budders came 8th with $55. In 7th was Musclebug with 69. Panini, 6th, 89.70. Balrog UK was our last one out, and he took out $110. So next one out gets 131. Who's it going to be? Well, I think we've just got a little bit closer to that, but Idealese is still hanging in there. So 6-3 is not going to like that too much. Just had to put in 6,000 of his 18,000. It's not a good position, is it, James?
It's not. And he's going to put that down. He's only got 12,000 now, and the blinds are 1,500, 3,000.
Should he have made a move like that, James?
I don't know. I mean, he definitely has to, before he definitely has to make a move now, and I don't like that. I don't want to leave again.
Yeah.
He wants to put the full punch in there.
Yeah.
Again, that's sort of similar to that other play there. Why? You're very happy to take the blinds down with that one, and gives you time to find an even better hand there. But you might as well just commit fully there on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, he's up to 18, and now DVN1 is in a little bit of trouble. He's down to 19,000, so it's a bit of a battle for these two at the moment.
Could be an encounter here as well.
Yeah, I think it might well be. The interesting thing is Lee, if he wanted to, could actually bully these two, couldn't he? A little bit.
But not want to put 9 in. In fact, no, actually, Idolize can actually put this down because he's got Lee behind him. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he puts it down for that reason. And DVN overtakes Idolize to go back into 3rd place. Opens up the gap a little bit, about 7,000 ahead of him.
We're going to see a move here from Idolize. Probably another 6,000 bet, aren't we, James? I think with this hand. I don't think he's going to fold it. He does like these little bets, doesn't he? 6,000? What do you think? No, all in this time.
I prefer that.
Yeah, he's got to do that, hasn't he?
He's a bit unlucky here.
And he's got a call, I think.
He could get called by Chelsea. But he's actually quite a nasty price for Chelsea.
13. Yeah, still losing 46, though.
16,000.
Yeah, but he's really in for 3.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
so
it's
another 13, 14 odd.
Yeah, 14,000. I'm just short of 14,000. So he put it down. I think it was enough to hurt him.
Still losing 45. Blinds 15-3.
But the point is, it shows you the power of Idolize's bet there.
Yeah. Plus his equity, of course, in moving up the money as well if he knocks him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but at least Idolize pushed there and asked the big question, and he increased his fold equity because obviously Chelsea hovered there, but thought, just a bit expensive for me.
Yeah. Well, DVN, well, he's given Idolize a price to call almost, but he won't want to call. No, not with that hand. So I don't blame him there. And it's a bit of a battle between these two, isn't it, James? They're both battling for that, well, 3rd spot, I guess.
Yeah. What is the difference between 3rd and 4th, Mark?
Well, 4th gets 131 and 3rd gets 172. So it's not huge.
So $41.
Yeah.
That's
compared to sort of first spot of 414.
Right, well, that's quite...
Yeah, it's quite steep, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite steep at the top.
So they might want to gamble here, really, to try and double up and, you know, make an impression on that first spot, perhaps. I think that's what I'd be tempted to do.
Because
what about
second's
you?
quite tasty as well, yeah.
Yeah, second's quite nice as well.
Yes, I think I wouldn't be bothering too much between 3rd and 4th.
Yeah.
And
I'm like you in that one.
I'd now actually be trying to think of a way to try and win it.
Yeah, it's a big jump, isn't it, from 131 to 414.
Yeah.
You could easily do another $300, almost another $300.
But when it's a flatter payout, well, then it becomes more reason to be tactical, probably.
Absolutely, yeah. So these are all things you've got to consider when you're playing these multi-table tournaments, especially when it gets into the money stages.
Well, DVN, yes, we've seen the raise, and it will see a pass.
What do you make of that raise? Is there any point making it a 7,500? He's going to call a re-raise anyway, isn't he? So why not just put him under the total, you know, all the pressure?
He could have done, yes. I mean, I think he's just trying to vary it or something, just to try and make it look a little bit different. But
yeah.
Jack 4-8, and we've got a flush draw and a middle pin straight draw for Idolize. And it's a pair of 8s, however, for Lee, our chip leader. And is he going to charge him? He hasn't. He's given him a free card.
Strange play, isn't it? He must have thought that he's ahead with his 8. Especially a check like that.
Now, is Idolize going to try and steal this?
Well, it's the only way he can win it, isn't it, James? That's a problem for him now.
And he bets 6.
Yeah. And Lee just picks him off.
He's trying to steal against the guy who's got a load of chips. And I don't think for 6 he could afford to be wrong, Lee, without worrying about it. So I think if he was trying to try and steal it, he just had to push it all in, I think, that time.
Yeah.
And ask a 16,000, 17,000 question. But it's difficult to steal against the guy with all the chips anyway. Well, could be a little battle here.
Well, will he call for an extra 3,000? That's the question. No, he doesn't. And I can't blame him because he's looking. He thinks, well, he's committed anyway.
He's committed anyway, that's right. He thinks
So it
my
means
hand
I've got to
maybe
put-
isn't good enough yet.
I've got to put, you know, another 4,000 really in if I want to play this out.
Wait for a better spot.
This might be it, James. No, he doesn't.
What a time to get a walk. He's suddenly gone back to nearly 17,000.
Yeah, that's very tight, isn't it?
He's happy there.
Yeah, they're desperate to get up the ladder.
Well, Chelsea's going to start charging something now. Yep, 6,000.
You all seem to be betting around 7,000, James.
Well,
Is that the price at the moment?
It is, but I think it's too... You see, the thing is here, my exchange rate is different here because I think I'm happy with that bet for the guys who've got chips because they're saying I'm raising 6,000. But it doesn't fit the bill for the guy who's got the lower stack. And for him, he should increase his fold equity and just say all in. Because he can't really get away from it because he hasn't got as many chips. So I think it's 2 prices, and I think there should be a different price for the small stacks, different price for the big stacks.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, very good.
And what they're doing, they're just copying what the big guys are doing. Well, it's not right this time.
No, that's a very, very good point. You've got to adjust your bets according to the players and their chip stacks. So good advice there from James. Definitely, some people forget that sometimes. So King 7, he doesn't want to play that either. Well, it's worked out okay for him because this time Idolize actually put in a bet pre-flop. So,
but I've become quite of the big stacks. I'm a big fan now of a flat raise from them when the blinds are quite high.
right.
The reason is because they're able to go to the well quite regularly and get away from a hand and then go back to the well again. Now, when they win, they're winning really good percentage profit by taking down the blinds.
Yeah.
And because the small chips say, oh, I know you've only bet that much, but if you do that, you put the rest of me in, I can't fight you. They've got a lot of implied strength. And I like those size bets from the big stacks more and more these days. And but just to re-emphasize it, it isn't the right bet for the small stack.
No. Well, Idolize is looking as to whether his 6 high flush draw might be any good. And,
Lee's got a pair and a flush draw, and he was feeling really good.
So he doesn't,
thought, if
doesn't
you
wanna
beat
know.
me, I can afford it anyway. Idolize.
Yeah, what's Chelsea going to do with his ace-8? He decided to re-raise. And Idolize is called.
And
Well,
there's a flush draw for Idolize and a pair. Well, he's not going to put this down, that is for sure. He's singing and dancing, but of course Chelsea, we can see, he's got the top pair. Well, he needs to make 2 pair or a flush, he doesn't do it, and we lose a player. Idolise, he found a hand he would definitely not get away from. And Chelsea is pulled away from DVN comfortably into second place.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time now for DVN, and he's got his wish. He has come second. $131, I believe it was, for Idolise. I think next one is $170-something.
Come third, I think you meant, Mark. You said to come second.
Yeah, sorry, come
It's okay.
third, yeah.
He might come second, but he doesn't know that yet. And let's see. Well, I think this is it for DVN. It is for me. It is for him. He's unlucky. He's walked into ace 10, but it's not the end. Oh, gosh, it is the end of the road now.
Yeah.
Well, that was instant.
How to hit a flop.
Wang, 10-10 straight away. Like a machine gun.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because it means that we've now got Chelsea against Lee, 1968. Second place is worth $270 odd, I believe. So 414 going to first place. So a nice healthy increase.
Another flushy flop, 7-Jack-8. And Chelsea represents and takes it. And it's very close to levelling this encounter. Well,
what are they like in chip position, James, compared to the blinds? Have they got sufficient play?
Yeah, they've got quite a lot of play here. Yeah, they've got quite a lot of play. Plenty of play. Plenty of play here. In fact, what I have noticed in these situations here, that sometimes the last two haven't actually quite understood how much play they've got. And
yeah.
I think they can play it a little bit more subtly than they sometimes do play it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just have to be all-ins. They should, if they've got play, they should play. And then they could pick the moment to finish the opponent off, rather than just trying to win a lucky
50-50 or something.
A lucky blow.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree.
I'd put in the analogy of a boxer. If you've got time there, you don't want to try to be like the big muscly marine who has a few swings and tries to knock you out. You want to be the calculated boxer who's jabbing, ducking, diving, and waiting for the opening and then finishing you off with a clean blow. You want to be the skilled boxer. If you've got time, be the skillful boxer.
Yeah.
If you haven't got time, be the bruiser and just swing because there's no time left.
Yeah, very good point. Well, Chelsea has ace-9.
And of course, what we're doing there is we're increasing our percentage chance of winning because we are deciding the encounter we want.
Uh-huh. Well, this has fallen quite nicely for Lee. He's got the pair and the flush draw, and he likes it. And he's telling Chelsea he likes it.
And Chelsea believes him.
Now, if you're on this small blind in this particular tournament, James, is there any reason why you'd want to call out of position? Less so, isn't there?
Less so. I will pass quite a few small blinds here because you just, as you said, out of position. You don't need to. You don't need to play suspect.
It's not like other tournaments where you're on the button.
If you're on the button, the small blind, then I wouldn't be passing very many at all.
So this warrants passing more often.
Definitely, and that's something. I see some of the players doing it. I think since we've mentioned it, I think they are doing it more. But I think it's definitely correct to be, be selective on the small blind.
Well, Chelsea has decided to raise it up, and he's got an inside straight draw for his troubles. And, well, Chelsea's playing it well.
Oh, and there's a king on the river. Mind you, it was quite a hard call for the king-8, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because they had passed a few, and then Chelsea raised from the small blind. But the king landed on the river, and Chelsea slipping back a bit.
He is, yeah, and Lee is starting to dominate this now. But Chelsea's just won that last one. That makes him feel a little bit better.
But it does, but Lee's about a 2-1 on favourite from this situation.
Well, he's betting now. He's decided to come out blasting. Does it with Queen 2. Lee can't call.
And that should just be put in the bin, and he does.
So Chelsea's won the last 3 pots in a row, I think. I've got King 4, he'll be doing the same again, I think. 14 this time. And will he come out blasting?
12,000, and this is trouble. The raise from the... And, oh, Chelsea at least puts it down, though. Lucky sevens makes it 8.
Well, he's looking pretty good here, isn't he, James?
Yeah.
He's got it's 4-1 now.
Lines are 2-4. And Chelsea's still not desperate here, and that's good. I'm glad to see he still had the discipline to pass that.
So a little 8-3 Chelsea. I'm sure he's not going to do anything with that. And Lee says thank you.
Well, Chelsea said this is better, but no, can't get the other chips off Lee there. Ah, but not much opposition. Small blind just makes it up. And Lee has hit the queen. Chelsea checks, slow plays the aces. Is Lee, yeah, Lee falls for it, plays, bets 8,000. Chelsea just calls, checks again. Ah, Lee sent something. Chelsea now is going to bet something. It feels like. Yeah, bets 12 and gets called. Well, played those aces cute and just made up the small blind, slow played them, put a value bet in the end, got paid it and managed to get back up to 60-odd thousand. So, as I've often said before, you don't get big hands too often. When you need chips, you have to take some risks with them to try and win chips, and that's what Chelsea did, so I thought that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm a bit surprised Lee fell for it because it was so out of character with the rest of the plays, but I mean, there we go. It shows it's possible.
Well, Lee's still looking pretty good.
Aces again, very useful.
He's looking to see how much he can get out of him. And he's not betting, is he, James? This is the thing. And now he's putting a bet, and he doesn't like it anymore. I mean, he wouldn't got any money out of him anyway, I don't think, but...
No. Well, he's still hanging in there now. He's got clawed his way back to the 60s.
Yeah, he's not giving in easy, is he?
He needs one more step to get back in the hunt, but that's not going to help him, and he's going to have to put that down. Actually, when I say he has to put that down, I'm not certain he does, actually.
Well, 6-2, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's only just putting the flat raise there, but he's got the button.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be horrific. That could be a way to get back in.
Oh, I don't think I'd like to play it.
Well, it's because
Personally.
he's getting true odds there, way above odds. He's getting above the odds, and he's got position, and he needs to get some chips now.
Yeah.
So just it's not going to hurt him that much that making up the small blind there, and making this up the flat raise there. 4,000. It was a little bit tempting. 8, 12. Yeah, he's getting 3 to 1 his money. So he was obviously like to be better than less than 3 to 1 against.
James, I don't know what's going on. That might sound like me talking there, calling with 6-2.
No, because it was on the button. And that's a case of making up, basically, calling a flat raise when you're on the button.
Uh-huh.
In his situation, that was what I was looking at. Anyway, I'd have to give it some thought.
So are you saying that if he had decent chips, you wouldn't have called?
So, no,
You're less likely to?
No, I'm just saying possibly that flat raise on the button there, maybe I could be calling the flat raises on the button quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting 3 to 1.
Well, we know your friend says so, doesn't he? Your friend advocates calling a lot on the button, minimum raises.
Mr. Harrington? Yeah. Especially when you... Yeah, so I think... and that would have suited him maybe just to get a funny hand there, and he could have really got back in the game.
Yeah. I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind calling in that situation if he had something like 4-5 or even 3-4, but I'm not tempted 6-2, to be frank.
Except heads up, you know, if you just even hit one of your cards, you're likely to be favourite.
Yeah, but unfortunately with 6-2, if you hit a 6, I mean, there's likely to be 2 overcards to you at least.
Oh yeah, but as I said, but if you just connect, you're still likely to be favourite.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't nice. But it was just it should have been.
See, what
considered.
happens though sometimes is that you'll call a bet like that. This is the problem. You see, you'll call a bet, and I can't see what kind of flop you're looking to hit. But let's say you hit a flop in terms of you hit bottom pair. The problem is the guy's now going to put out a continuation bet, and you've got to call it, or more.
Or go over the top if you're going to.
Or go over the top, yeah. But
he's going to be suspicious why you called the raise anyway. Because it's not been. We haven't been seeing it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is basically it definitely should have been considered. It's not such an obvious. It's just not an automatic pass. It's something which could be considered, I think. Just because of position. Heads up is massive, and.
Well, King Jack against King Queen. Luckily, there's no king on this board for Lee. And Chelsea takes it down, and look, he's wrestled the lead. He's now got the chip lead. So this is a topsy-turvy tournament, and King Queen this time for Lee. He'll like that. And I think Chelsea will put out another bet.
And he's got an up and down straight 3, 4, 5, 6 with the useless king.
Yeah. Oh,
when he's hit the 4.
It's pretty nasty. And he's going to take that one well.
And taking the lead.
Yeah, and Chelsea's now got the lead. Will he keep on applying the pressure? I think he might. He does, yeah. Lee can't call this. And now that 10,000 means something to Lee. It's not so easy for him to call now. He's only got 72 behind him.
Blinds is still only 2-4 though. So if things go wrong, you had the chip lead, all of a sudden it's turned round, forget about that, forget about where you were, reassess and say, I've got 70,000 chips, the blinds are 2,000, 4,000, how much play have I got? And that's how what you should do.
Look at this, James. This will be interesting.
Yes.
Both got the same hand.
And Chelsea's favourite here.
And Lee's going to get pushed, isn't he, I think? Yeah, he is.
Oh, and now...
Oh, he's called. Wow.
And Chelsea could have won because he got 3 hearts. Needed to go runner, but it didn't happen.
No, he was free rolling there. But
there it was. He need runner heart to beat Lee on the flop. And, he's cranking it up all the time. And he's scooped some more chips there. Gone to 140 now, Chelsea.
Well, there's a real battle here going on, James.
Yeah, a raise from Lee with the King 9. The flat raise again. Well, that's definitely a call.
Jack 8, yeah.
Oh, absolutely clear cut. That's a horrific pass.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jack 8.
3 to 1 money there with Jack 8, heads up, with position. Absolutely clear cut call.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you on that one.
And that's good. That's why I wanted
anything that has some kind of similarity.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to just think about that situation there, you know.
Yeah, any cards that have a similarity. I mean, I wouldn't be calling with 2-3, for example, but I think I'm quite happy to call with 5-6 and above.
Especially, all right.
Oh, can you call this? What's he got there? He's got 58,000. It's a bit too much, isn't it, for him? That will wrestle the chip lead back to Lee if he does call. And I think he knows he's beaten here. Doesn't want to take a chance with king 7. No, he doesn't. Well, Lee has a few more chips.
Pair of 4s for Lee.
Yeah, we could call with 6-8 there. I don't mind the call. With 6-8, like you said, it's only another 4,000. And he's got position, and he's got connecting cards. Sure, there's a gap, but at least with something like 6-8, then you've got a few more possibilities. Well, 7-8 this time, and Chelsea doesn't want to play it. So will these guys finish off? They've still got a lot of chips behind them compared to the blind, so there's no mad rush. Chelsea doesn't want to know.
And there's a big ace. Well, big ace, heads up, any ace is pretty big. 18,000, and...
Well, Chelsea's waiting for those hands, isn't he? He's not going to play his way out of this, I don't think. Or play his way to the championship. He's going to just wait for the hands to come and just play them aggressively. We've seen him make quite a few folds here.
Well, I think he's going to do something here.
He is, yeah.
18,000. King 4, you might be tempted there, but I'm not as keen on this one.
No, I'm not, no. If it was king 9 or above, then I would, but not king 4. Well, he gives up 7-8.
Mark's looking in absolute shock. I mean, what's he doing, he's saying?
I can't believe he didn't call for 2,000. Well, Jack 3 won't be doing anything. They're waiting for a hand each other, aren't they? This is the problem. They're going to wait for a hand, and they'll both hit a decent hand, and it's whoever the poker gods have smiled upon.
Well, he's raised up there with 14 now. 10-8. What's he going to do there? Nope. No collisions. Lee now. He's raised up with Queen 10. Oh, and Chelsea's called with a King 8. Oh, look at this. And Lee has hit the top pair with a middle pin straight draw, and Chelsea's hit the bottom pair backdoor flush draw. I mean, Lee's got a backdoor flush draw. Oh, look at this. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. And it's ended with an outdraw.
Yeah.
And Chelsea...
That was the only way that was going to end this game, wasn't it?
That was on the wrong end of it there, but pinged an 8 on the turn.
Yeah. That was the only way that was going to end, wasn't it? I think something like that.
Yeah, it was... it was interesting anyway.
Right, well, we've got a couple of emails. I'm going to have to run through these, James, pretty quick. We haven't got that much time. But this one's from Johan, and he's answering my question from earlier. Thanks for your reply, Johan.
All right, yes.
Hi, Mark and James. Regarding the pot when I had ace-queen and Mark 7-8, I couldn't put you on a hand. I only had one pair. I almost folded to you on the turn, so I would definitely fold to the decent bet on the river. Yeah. But I was very happy when you just checked it. I know many goes with a hand like ace-queen. There it is, but it's still only one pair after all. You played it good, Mark, but didn't have the guts to make it on the river. Oh. Lol. I'm not a calling station. Okay. Thanks very much for your reply, Johan. It was good to hear. From Kyle, the other day you were talking about Bank Rusland, that you need 100 buy-ins to enter. If this 100 bank rolls. Okay. Yes. Bank rolls. Oh yeah, and you need 100 buy-ins to enter. If this is correct for sit and goes and cash games, is it the same for multi-table tournaments? If not, how many buy-ins would you advise? We haven't got time, James, unfortunately.
Yes, I think it's fair enough guideline for that as well.
Okay, well, it's been a good show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Until tomorrow, for Cara and Nick. Until then.
Bye.